Good morning, everybody. I'm calling this session of the Board of Revision to order and acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Harvey Diamond. I'm chairing this meeting. With me is Bill Moretsky and Linda Scholes, and our executive assistant is Crystal Hartland, and the assessment department is represented by Mr. Merrick Froelich. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment rules in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision have been requested are described in each application, and we will be limiting discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing must be sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to such matters must first be sworn in. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by council, is independent of it and the city administration. We make our decisions based on the evidence provided at this hearing and will issue a written order that will be mailed to all participants as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or to classification, or else the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to an application for exemption from taxation. And should a party wish to appeal, information on do so will be included with our order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed to each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by any questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by any questions. And each side will be given an opportunity to summarize if they wish to do so. Once all the evidence upon an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and render decisions. You receive the board's decision by written mail as soon as possible. Please note that all public records are live streamed, recorded, and will form part of a public record. And today we'll be hearing items 1 to 6, or 1 to 2, I'm sorry, and 6 through 8, or 6 through 8 as well as 10, and 11 on the docket today. And Mrs. Harley, can you please affirm the assessor's testimony and the applicants?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Assessor, would you please state your full name?
Merrick Froelich.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, would you please stand? Thank you. Would you please state your full name?
Carson Horsburgh.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you. The first item on the docket today is the property at, excuse me for a second, I got it, at 21 Dawson Road North. And Mr. Froelich, when you're ready, you can proceed. I do see you have a preliminary matter to deal with.
Yep. I'll go through some of the parameters first, and then I'll get to the issue of noncompliance. File number is 25-304. Address is 21 Dawson Road. Rule number is 06092977700. Assessed value for 2026 is $2,127,000. Property is a warehouse built in 2000 with built in 2000 with a wall height of 25 feet. The land area is 106,359. The leasable area is 11,961, and it has a high land to building ratio of 11, just over 11. We're asking that the assessment be confirmed because we're asking that the request for the burden of proof be placed on the applicant for non-cooperation based on 53.3B of the MAA. If the reduction is ordered, then it will follow section 54.3-2 of the MAA.
Okay.
If you look at the documentation here on page 2, we're showing the initial letter that we sent out on April 13th. We did not receive an income and expense mailer in 2021 or 2022. On April 13th, 2023, it says that the roll number, the address, and the service for delivery is on Able Crane Services Limited at 21 Dawson Road. On the second page is just the key information that we're looking for. So this is the questionnaire that we're asking the owner to fill out with regards to income and expenses and leasable area. And then on the bottom of page 3, that section is on that shows out the tendencies that would be in the property. And you can both see on the due date for the initial income and expense mailer was May 4th, 2023. Subsequently, on page 4, we sent out a registered mail on June 9th with a tracking number of LP 661-166-495 CA, also to Able Crane Services Limited at 21 Dawson Road, stating that the new due date for the mailer for the registered letter is now June 30th. And that could be seen in the first paragraph where it's bolded. What we have here is then we see the tracking number that's provided to us by Canada Post. The tracking number matches what we have on the cover letter on page 4, matches which was on page 5. And then on the bottom of page 5, we also show the signature with regards to when it was delivered and who signed for it at the time. On page 6, it shows our internal record system showing that we did not receive documentation for this. What I've also done is I printed up the property tax notice for 2025, which is seen right here, showing that the service for delivery is Able Crane Services Limited on 21 Dawson Road, and it shows the assessed value that we sent out in 2025 for $2,127,000. I have the City of Winnipeg property taxes, which also shows the service for delivery at 21 Dawson Road, Able Crane Services with the roll number and all the information applicable to taxes. And the final piece of documentation I have is the property owner is registered for tips. And here's the documentation showing the tip letter that we sent out. Service for delivery at Able Crane Services Limited, 21 Dawson Road, Winnipeg, Manitoba. So if they're receiving all this other documentation from us, I see no reason why they did not receive the income and expense mailer on both occasions. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, Mr. Horsborough?
Mr. Chair, I have prepared rebuttal for the request for non-compliance. But my question for the assessor, I suppose, is that are you aware that this appeal was filed by the leaseholder of the property?
Well, it's irrelevant if it's filed by the leaseholder or not. The bottom line is they have the right to appeal. And well, I don't know the status of the ownership because we don't have the income and expense mailer if it's rented or not. And so all I have here is a numbered company on the application form, and it was Michelle Friesen, the controller at 21 Dawson Road, and it's under Michelle ablecranes.com.
Right. So like my understanding, and I'll speak to it in the rebuttal, the leaseholder signed a lease in 2024. When these mailers were sent, they weren't in a position to respond to them. No doubt the owner should have responded to them, but I don't think fundamentally it's fair that non-compliance be granted when the leaseholder has filed the appeal and the owner of the building was non-compliant.
And who's the owner of the building?
That I'm not sure. I was approached by the
Well,
leaseholder.
the point is then you have no proof to show us that the leaseholder and the owner are the same or that they're different. If you could provide some documentation to prove that, that would be awesome. But without the documentation, I can't really, change my position or approach.
Okay, well, we can address it in the rebuttal.
Well, okay, ordinarily in these situations, we go into camera and decide whether we're going to make a finding or not, Mr. Horsborough. And I guess if there is a rebuttal on this, I've never had a rebuttal before. I don't know how you rebut the presumption that with all this material here, I'd like to hear basically where you're going with rebuttal.
Well,
where
I'm going with my rebuttal. So when I spoke to the leaseholder, they said, well, how is this fair? We weren't in the building until June 15th, 2024. So we weren't in a position to respond to it. And they've sworn an affidavit attesting to that. Fundamentally, I don't think it's fair to deprive the leaseholder who by contract has to pay the taxes because of a failing on the part of the owner.
Okay, but wouldn't that mean that the tenant who has to pay the taxes might have an action against the owner then? But I don't see how the city gets involved in this, how the assessment department, because if there's any action at all, it seems like that maybe the owner should have made this known to the tenant.
Well, I fully agree, but I think the circumstances here are a bit unique. We're in the second year of the assessment cycle. On the basis of natural justice, it does seem that the taxpayer is going to lose or essentially forfeit their right to some degree of justice if this is just fallen shut down. And I'll leave it to the board to decide, but I would like to speak to the rebuttal.
Okay, and I would just say this though. Okay, let's suppose that we go through with the hearing after this and we make this finding and there is a reduction that we agree upon. Wouldn't that give the tenant a right of action against the owner for that loss?
I'm not a lawyer, I'm not certain, but that possibly.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I don't know why the assessment department loses out, but I suppose we'd have to go. I'll let you. Okay, Mr. Froelich.
I do have something to add.
Sorry.
I do have something to add here. So when we our position is that without having income and expense mailer information, we can't produce a model. In 2021, it was listed as able for the mailer. We have the contact person is a person named Alan Norman, and he's accounting at ablecranes.com. So the person who filled out the income and expense mailer in 2020 represents the same company that represents Able Cranes today. And so I just came across that as information. And so there may be, without any information provided by the applicant, I'm seeing property owner as Able Crane Services Limited in the 2020 mailer. And that's consistent with regards to all the other documentation that I found. I even pulled out the 2023 tax bill or 2022 tax bill, which was and it was also Able Crane Services Limited.
And the delivery was made to 21 Dawson Road North, which is the property in question.
Yeah, there's a consistency in the property ownership that I see from my perspective.
Okay, question. Do you have any objection to us seeing the rebuttal?
No, sure. It's, I'm open and I'm transparent, but I'm only as good as the information that I receive.
No, I understand, but we have to determine whether we're going to even see the rebuttal at this point. And
I feel confident that the property ownership was the same, the responsibility was the same. I cannot control relationships between the tenants and the ownership, but based on the information that I see here right now, I see no difference between the tenants and the ownership here right now. So that's the board's prerogative to look at the rebuttal evidence. But my position is that I don't believe there's a case here.
Okay, I'm going to open this to panel members. Any questions, Ms. Schultz?
I have one question. So the lease, the people that are leasing the property as of 2024, you said they took over June 15th, 2024?
That's what I've been told by Ms. Friesen and Mr. Gertz, yeah.
Okay. And we're going reference date as of April 1st, 2023?
Correct.
Okay. So would it matter then the leaseholder for 2023 reference date? If you didn't take over till 24?
Yeah, like my understanding is that they signed the lease June 15th, 2024. That's, I only have the information that my clients provided me.
Okay. So I don't know, is that a mute point then if they didn't even take over till 24?
Well, I guess, yeah, my argument is that fundamentally, it's not fair to grant non-compliance when the leaseholder filed the appeal. They weren't in a position to answer the mailer if they weren't in the building. I don't know exactly the relationship between the owner and the tenant, but that's just my understanding of the matter.
Okay, no further questions, thank you.
Mr. Bresky, do you have any questions at this point?
Yeah, just some clarification. So who is as of April 1st, 2023, who was the owner of the property? This is for Mr. Froelich.
It's a numbered company. It's 1,000964636 Manitoba Limited.
And so who is Abel Crane then? Were they a tenant or were they the owner?
Well, to me, they look like the owner, based on my information. I'm focusing my information on the 22 mailer with a reference date of April 1st, 2023, and this is the 2026 appeal. I have no control over the relationship between the tenant and owner, and maybe if even then, so the onus is on the owner first and foremost to. Let me rewind here for a second here. If there's a post-reference lease that comes after the reference date, and the market rent that is determined by that the new tenant has is significantly lower than what the model is or what the reference date is, we have no control over the lease that was signed between the tenant and the ownership group. Just like we have no control over the working relationship between the tenant and the ownership right now. Our responsibility is to ask for the income and expense mailer every year, every 2 years with regards to the general letter and then the certified letter. In this situation, the ownership, which seems to be the same to me right now, because I have no information with regards to the current ownership leasing situation for 2024. My focus is clearly on the 2022 mailer that we never received. Thank you.
I have no further questions.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. No, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, so under the circumstances, I guess we will see the rebuttal and let Mr. Horsborough take us through it. So I guess it'll be put into our box, Crystal? Ms. Arland?
It's in your file now, so take a look, maybe refresh, and I have just sent it to the assessor, Mr. Froelich.
Thank you. I have it here now.
Okay. Oh, no, it's the wrong rebuttal I just downloaded, sorry. Okay, 10 minutes ago?
Would you like some time to review this, Mr. Chair? I can take us offline.
I'm just waiting to see if it comes up. So far I see it's here, but it hasn't opened up for some reason. It says rebuttal applicant, but I don't see it. I'll try downloading. I'll try it one more time. I just have a picture of it looks like a square.
I got mine.
I'll try again.
Does everybody else have theirs?
Yep,
Uh,
it's very bottom.
No,
Well,
I
that's
see it.
rebuttal with the Word document.
Yep,
That one is different, right? That's cap rate rebuttal.
This is what you're looking for, gentlemen, is a PDF from
Yeah.
Mr. Applicant.
for
I
12.
also have a PDF, but it's clearly stated as a 2026 compliant rebuttal. After reviewing it, my position hasn't changed, though,
I have rebuttal applicant. Is that the one? PDF?
Yeah,
Okay, I've got somebody. Hang on. Oh, maybe I'm looking in the wrong place here. So I've got a rebuttal 11 minutes ago, a rebuttal 12 minutes ago.
Mm.
And I'm not, the one that looks like, okay, one is, just says A and T doc, and the other one just the applicant. Okay, that should be the one, I guess.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
Okay,
It's called rebuttal applicant and then the roll number and,
okay, I see it now. Okay.
okay.
Okay, you know what I don't understand is, just for clarification purposes, is Able Crane Services still running out of 21 Dawson Road? Or is it a different company?
I believe it's Able Cranes.
Okay, so at the end of the day, if it's still Able Cranes, we have the BA as Able Cranes listed as it. So I don't know who Jeremy Kurtz is, but there's been no change in the ownership status or the business status in 2021 Dawson today, and in 2023 and in 2022. All the information is consistent with regards to someone from Able Crane and Services have been care and control of this property. They've been representing this company. They received their tip payments and application forms. They received their tax bill, their assessment notices, and we also have on record that they have, received the income and expense mailer. We're all familiar with Litcherson with regards to service of delivery. And
So on
I-
here, he doesn't know who this whatever the last name, Schwartz.
yeah, well, the point is, it's someone who's been working with, or who has been. Canada Post doesn't go to different locations. Like, it's, the city of Winnipeg does the best that we can. There's a body of information here that shows that it's not like they're delinquent in paying their property taxes. So if they receive mail with regards to property taxes, they've been a tenant in this building for a significant amount of time.
Anything else before we determine whether we're going to make a finding or not, Mr. Horsborough?
No, I mean, this isn't an ideal situation, and I don't have the full picture. I didn't have access to the old mailers. I'm going off of what I was told by the tenants, so I'll leave it at that, and I'll let the board make their decision.
Okay, well, we're going to go to the camera and we'll make our decision.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, so we've made a finding that we are going to uphold the application of the assessment department under section 53(3)B of the Municipal Assessment Act. So we made that finding. And of course, the penalties that occur pursuant to section 54 will therefore apply. So, Mr. Horsborough, at this point, because this is 2026 taxes, and there'll be a new assessment for 2027. As you're aware, any finding that we make today will be mute because it won't take effect, and next year there'll be a new assessment. So, I mean, we can proceed with your application if you wish to do so, but it's not going to result in any saving because there'll be a new assessment next year. So I guess the question is, what do you want to do?
Mr. Chair, my role is to advocate for my clients. Whether they'll achieve tax savings or not, this property has been overassessed. And notwithstanding the fact that no tax savings will be achieved, I would like to continue with my presentation.
And you've got that right to do so. So we'll proceed.
Thank you.
I do have two questions though, with regards to the information provided by the applicant. So, but just to confirm, you don't know if there's a new business or not at 21 Dawson Road, correct?
Sorry.
Because there's a new lease in place, but is there, like, who's the lease? Is your client, Mr. Gertz, does he work for Able Crane Services?
My understanding is that he does, yes.
Okay, so and Mr. Gertz represents Able Crane Services, does he not?
Correct.
Okay, and so, okay, no, and the other question I have, I just want to clarify that. Whenever there's a an issue of notoriety or authorization, isn't it usually stamped by the person who's doing the other authorization? And that's a legal question that Mr. Diamond may be able to answer for us, because usually it's my understanding when there is, I don't have it here, or I can't find it. But either way, isn't it usually stamped by the
Talking about the
person?
affidavit?
Yeah, an affidavit.
Well, you know, a stamp could be imprinted in the paper, but it doesn't necessarily, I mean, usually indicates it's signed before either a commission for oaths or
Okay.
notary public.
So it doesn't need to be stamped then.
Well, you know what, we're informal here.
Okay, yeah,
And,
okay.
you know,
Just curious. It's just, I know when, I'm divorced, my daughters went to the United States. I had to sign off on that, and that got stamped by the person who did the
Yeah,
notarization. So I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, thank you. I will proceed with my presentation. Thank you for
thank you.
answering those questions. So looking at the property here that we have.
Mr. Chair,
So the onus,
Sure. The onus is on the owner, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Mr. Earlsborough. You caught me sleeping here.
I'm not doing myself any favors, but that's the way it works. So yeah, 21 Dawson Road. The board will follow me through to page 4. Our requested assessment, our valuation amounts to $1,724,000. There are a few issues with this property as we follow along to page 5. One of the issues with this property is access. I'll speak to that further on. Another one is the city's addition of excess land adjustment. And another issue is overstated rental income, and then overstated capitalization rate as well. I'll do my best to keep this relatively brief because we do have 6 more on the docket. So the board will follow now to page 13. Property's been assessed with potential income of $98,200 based on a market analysis. We've determined potential rent of $92,698 to be reflective of market. And we have found that the capitalization rate of 5.6% is again understated, and we feel that a capitalization rate of 6.75% would be more appropriate for the property. And then I do accept the land is worth $503,000 as per the city's analysis. However, in order for the client to realize any value from that land, the land would have to be subdivided and sold off. Hence why my value is slightly lower than the assessor's. Moving on to page 14, provided a satellite image of the property, as well as on page 15. More photographs of the property on page 16, 17. And then the page numbers switched. I'm sorry about that. But it's the page immediately after 17. It shows up as number 2, but under the heading of 12 valuation. Again, my understanding was that my client leased this property in 2024. There wasn't a lease for the property. Again, I didn't have all the information in front of me. We've determined that this property, given some of the issues that it has with access, rental rate of $7.75 would be appropriate. Moving on to the next page, provided rental comparables. Properties of this size, similar areas, similar year built, similar clear wall height. Ranges from $7.25, $7 a square foot, as low as $6.50 a square foot, as high as $9.25, $9.75 a square foot. Again, this property does have issues pertaining to access, which does limit the marketability of the property. Moving on to the next page. Pardon me, skip the page there. Capitalization rates. Under the heading 12.3 capitalization rate, capitalization rate reflects the relationship between risk. It's the way the investors look at a property. The capitalization rate really just reflects risk and the principle of anticipation. Investor sentiment for properties like this, they aren't state of the art. They aren't, an investment grade that, attracts a wide number of tenants. This property would fall under a Class B definition for a industrial property. If we look at the cap rate table on this page, cap rates range from for Class B properties. The city lists them all the same. Colliers, CBRE, Cushman & Wakefield range from 6 to 7% for the most part. The next page, I have provided a bit of a table pertaining to the differences between Class A industrial properties and Class B industrial properties. I have provided a cap rate table on the next page that was prepared by a third party. So, like that. And then on the next page, I do speak to the excess land adjustment. As per the bylaws in Winnipeg, if you're going to subdivide a property, you do have to pay a 10% dedication fee to the city. So I accept that the property is worth, the excess land would be worth $503,000. But in order to realize any of that value, the land would have to be subdivided and sold off. And there would be expenses to that. The city's analysis doesn't provide any sort of adjustment for the cost of subdivision. Moving on to the next page, there are some site-specific considerations that I wanted to touch on. So the road quality and access to Dawson Road North are ongoing concerns. There are, and you can look on the next page, I provide a map. Where this property is located, they have 3 rail crossings, essentially the box limit. And so one of their big complaints to me is that, we get stuck all the time. We get stuck at 3 different train crossings. So it makes it difficult for them to run a business when they, just the way it is, you can look on the next page, 1, 2, 3 rail crossings, and they're smack dab in the middle. So there are some issues there. The market's gonna take that into consideration. Potential tenants will take that into consideration. And yeah, keeping it brief. With these issues in mind, we've determined a market value of $1,724,000. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Froelich. Any questions?
I have lots of questions, but I won't ask any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Froelich.
Mr. Marinsky, any questions?
Yeah, regarding the access issues, so do you have any properties in that actually are any comparison properties that have that same issue with those 3 crossings in that area? And do you have any properties from that area?
I tried to find sales or at least some lease comparables right in that area that fall within that kind of 3 crossing distance, but I wasn't able to find any sales or market leases.
I'm just wondering, so how would if we're talking about present owners know how the rail crossings work and that it is an issue for them, but would the market really know that?
Well, I tend to think that if an investor is going to buy this property, they're going to do some due diligence. I mean, if you drive by there, you might get stuck at a train. So I tend to think that anyone who's going to buy this kind of a property, they're going to be somewhat sophisticated. They might have an appraisal done. I think there would be some due diligence done, and it would affect that position in the market.
Do you think this problem is unique to that area? There's no like industries all over Winnipeg don't have a similar problem?
Well, I'm sure other areas do, but this property, like right in that corner, you have 1, 2, 3, and you're kind of blocked in. I don't think there are going to be many other properties where you have, you might have 1 or 2 rail crossings, but 1, 2, 3.
So that land value issue that you were talking about, you said it has to be subdivided in order to sell it. Is that what you're
Well, if they're gonna realize the value of that land, they would have to subdivide it and sell it off.
and that you say is that there's going to be a cost associated with that?
The city requires a 10% dedication fee.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Ms. Scholes, any questions?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I guess a couple questions. First of all, do you have any evidence to show, for example, that the cost of subdividing the land would be, I guess, about $50,000, 50,300, according to your page 26 analysis?
Yeah, I believe I included the excerpt of the byline in the addenda. I don't actually print out my addenda with me when I come in person, but I thought I had included the excerpt from the byline, the addenda.
And how do you know that the valuation does not include dedication of land?
Well, looking at the city's report, there was no adjustment made.
Okay, I guess Mr. Fuller can speak to that. Next question I have is the rail crossings that you're talking about. They're all in different directions, so they wouldn't. All three of them wouldn't necessarily affect somebody coming or leaving the property.
No, I don't think there would ever be a situation where all three would be active and you'd be trapped there. But one or two of them could be running at the same time.
And have you analyzed how much traffic is on those lines?
I have not.
So they might basically rarely have trains to begin with.
Well, I do know that they have trains because that was one of my clients' biggest complaints that they keep getting stuck. Like they try to get in there, they go to jobs and whatnot, and they constantly get stuck by the trains.
Constantly? What does that mean? Does that mean that I'd like to know how much traffic is on these lines because I don't think any of them are a main line.
No, I'm not sure if they're CN, CP.
Yeah, they look like spur lines, but anyway. Okay, I don't think I have any other questions then. So, Mr. Froelich, you can proceed.
Thank you. Just as an overview with regards to this property, one of the reasons that it has in my property description, it has a lower cap rate because it was built in 2000. It's a brand, essentially in the Winnipeg marketplace, something that was built in the 21st century is a relatively new building. When you look at the valuation on page 6, these pictures that I have here are similar to, I can't remember if Mr. Harsborough has provided any pictures, but here's some pictures on page 6 and 7. I've never been in this property, but looking at the property here, it does have a lot of doors for access to go for loading and unloading. And that's obviously a positive attribute that was considered to build a lot of overhead doors when they built this property in 2000. Page 7 shows why we believe there's excess land for this property for development. And historically, with regards to excess land, when an owner sells that to another, when the vendor sends it to another purchaser, usually the costs incurred are that happen are to the new buyer. So when we look at the valuation process and the valuation process of sales, usually, like say for example, if a property needs to be remediated, the vendor doesn't pay for the remediation, the purchaser does. So that would be similar to that situation. So that's why I believe our overall value is quite fair with regards to the excess land. If you look at our workup, what we're doing, the property is 11,961 square feet. We have a market rent of $8.21, 3% for vacancy, expenses at 3%, shortfall of $4. We come up with net operating income of $90,561 with a cap rate of 5.6%. So a lot of times we have questions with regards to our ratio, our 20th to 80% ratio with regards to our properties. And what you got to realize, if you looked at all the inventory of the city of Winnipeg, I am confident that when we looked at all the industrial properties, it would be less than 20%. So that's why when our cap rates are lower than industry average, it's because we're dealing with newer inventory, which would drive a lower cap rate in the marketplace. We come up with a cap value of 1,624,000. Our land value for 503 comes up with a value of 2,127,000. So what I've tried to do is when trying to do comparables, you're trying to find, you're trying to get areas, you're trying to get leasable areas, you're trying to get, close to years built. And so my focus here on this one was trying to find properties that were similar to the subject property. So my range is just under 6,000 to 15,000, and my range of rents are from $8.82 to a high of $12.50. They're located throughout on Lawson, Keenly side, Henry, Niagara, and the only really one that's really, really busy is 730 Nairn Avenue, but that's also in the northeast quadrant. Further, with regards to our land comparable sales, what we've done here is here's a sale that we have. So we have the valuation at Dawson Road at $924 a square foot. And here's some comparables that I have in the area. But bear in mind, our $9.24 a square foot is based on a reference date of April 1st, 2023. So when you look at my first sale on Provencher, we're dealing at $7.48. That sale was in October of 2019. We got a property on Niagara Road. That was in 2019 as well at $762. We got a comparable on Dougal Road at $1028. That was in 2021. And then we got another property on Niagara Road for $913. I got some pictures of with regards to the comparables that I have on page 11. So it's, not very far away. So the first comparable on Provencher is not very far from the subject property. But when we look at this property with regards to that sale, a lot of that portion of that land, if you look at the outlier of it, so on the southeast side, it goes into a triangle. So the utility of that would not be as high as the excess land that we have for the subject property. And comparable number 2 shows almost approximate size of what this development could be. Page 3 is another property on Dougal Road, and page 4 is another property on Niagara. I've gone through my workup, and with regards to the cap rate that we're using at 5.6%. So in this situation, it does fall within our range, but for some of the other properties that we have today, it's outside of our range. So I'm comfortable with the cap rate that we're using today. That concludes my official presentation. I am open to questions.
Mr. Horsburgh, any questions?
I've got some questions, but I won't ask them. Thanks.
Ms. Scholes, any questions?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moreski, any questions?
Yes, just your on your first page, you have a plan area of $9,600. Sorry, 9,600 square feet.
Yep.
Yet your leasable area is 11,961. Can you explain that discrepancy?
There's second floor office space.
Okay, but you have one story, it says.
Yeah, and so that would happen sometimes when we put things into rolls. But by looking at the windows, I'm assuming that there's second floor office space. I don't have the field forms here, but I'm pretty confident that if they didn't have and there's a gap there in the windows, right? So if you look at on page 6, on the front of it, there's a bit of a not a barrier, but there's a bit of finishing in between the windows that I see here, right?
Mhm.
So that's why there's a difference between the leasable area and the plan area.
Okay.
The
So it'd be like a mezzanine then. There is a mezzanine.
second floor. I consider it second floor space because I would have to pull it up, but for me, agents use the mezzanine space a lot of times, but I prefer to use unless it's storage in an area. But I've never inspected this property, and so maybe the applicant could give us more information with regards to that if there's second floor office space there. I could quickly look that up though.
That's all right. So you had a cap rate of 5.6, and where did that fall in your range here?
So it's actually so for all categories, it's within our range. It's actually our range is from 5.3 to let me just go back over here. Our range is for industrial properties from 5.35 to 7.3.
7.3. So you're kind of on that lower end then.
Yeah, well, because it's a 2000 built property, right? It's a new property. It's decent ceiling heights, you know, and it suits the purposes. And with regards to the other industry leaders, Colliers, CB Richard Ellis, and Cushman, they're all, for most of them, you know what I mean? Like, because like I would consider this you know, a single tenant day. So you're looking at 5.35, 5.75. 5.5 and 5.25, so we're within the range there.
Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Phillips, I'm just going by your table here, and it does show 5.35 to 7.3 for industrial, but Colliers is 6% to 7%, and Cushman & Wakefield looks like they're 6.5 to 7.5. So there's a discrepancy between the cities and the other.
Yeah. Well, our cap rate's 5.6. So I look at this as single tenant A. It's a brand new building. So it is a bit lower than Colliers. It's our cap rate's lower than CB Richard Ellis, and our cap rate's also lower than Cushman Wakefield for being a single tenant low cap property.
Okay.
And then with regards to the term investment grade, 65% of the properties then in Winnipeg are owner occupied. So not all of them would be classified as investment grade per se, but they do have value on the marketplace. They do trade. They do trade on occasion. And when they do sell, you know, we're within the parameters of the sale prices that are existing that end up taking place.
Okay. Any final statements to be made by any of the parties?
I have nothing to add.
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So we'll then go on to item number 2, which is the property at 270 Bates.
Let me bring up the applicant's brief here. Thank you.
Okay.
And I could proceed when ready.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Folek, you can proceed.
Thank you. File number is 25-297. Roll number is 06053084,900. Assessed value that we have for 2026 is $1,657,000. Property in question was built in 1988. It has a ceiling height of 17 feet. It has a land area of 34,765. And here we have the plan area and leasable area is the same at 10,780. And we're asking we are asking for non-compliance for this property.
Okay, yeah, you can take us through the non-compliance request.
Yep. So looking at page 2, we did receive the income and expense mailer from the property in 2022, so we appreciate that. The first letter that we sent out was on April 13th, 2023, asking for the 22 income and expense mailer, you know, and we have that information here. Then on page 3, we're looking at the due date with regards to this property. So we have a due date of May 4th, 2023 on the top portion. And same thing on the bottom portion. On page 4, here we have that because we hadn't received the original income and expense mailer from the property, we sent an authorized letter with number LP 661-168-139CA to the numbered company at 565029 Manitoba Limited, saying that we had not received the 22 mailer on April 1st, 2013. So we're sending a brand new letter with additional with regards to the income and expense mailer with the due date of June 30th, 2023. Failure to respond with this request may result in penalties incurred according to the Municipal Assessment Act. So at the top of page 5, we have the tracking number that matches what's on the top of page 4, showing that it was signature for available for delivered. We're seeing a signature here that it was delivered. And on top part of page 6, we show that the property owner did not fill out the income and expense mailer in 2022. With regards to other documentation with the registered property owner, I have the assessment notice that was sent out on June 5th, 2024 for $1,657,000. The numbered company where the service was for 207 debates. I also have the 2025 tax bill that was also sent out to 207 debates with the same numbered company. And then we actually look at the application form. We have the president with the same numbered company, and they have a mailing address at 207 debates that they have listed here. So when we look at the issue with regards to completing the income and expense mailers, there's been consistency in our process with regards to service of delivery. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Horsburgh.
Mr. Frolick, is there a history of non-compliance on this property?
No, they did fill out the 2021 mailer. And so going beyond that, if they had a history of non-compliance, then I would have brought that up, or I would have showed that in my brief.
Are you aware, has this property ever been appealed before?
You know what? I do not believe so. No, it has not. It wasn't appealed in 2023. I could quickly check to see, because usually if there's appeal history, I will write it down and document it. And so I will tell you in a sec, but my guess is that it has not. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, are you still just checking?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I am checking. I just wanted to clarify. Sorry. Yep, first time appeal.
And again, just to confirm, no history of non-compliance. They just missed this one year.
Well, in 2017, they didn't complete out the income and expense mailer. In 2015, they didn't complete the expense mailer. And in 2023 and 2013, they did not complete that. So essentially what it boils down to is they didn't do it this time. We eventually got it in 2020. Because we did send out, actually, we've had to send out registered letters to them every cycle.
Are you aware the property's owner occupied?
I'm assuming so. For me, that doesn't affect the non-compliance issue or not. It's a yes or no question. Did they apply? Did they complete the income and expense mailer? If they have, great. If they haven't, then I will ask for non-compliance.
Okay, thank you. I have no rebuttal for this property. My understanding is that the owner just forgot, and they've never appealed the property before.
Okay, we have to go into camera to make a determination if we're going to grant the assessment department's application.
Are not going to go through a question cycle? No?
Oh, do you have any questions? Go absolutely. If you have questions, I didn't know if there were. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to preclude you. I had none, but Ms. Mariski, if you have a question, please ask it.
I just want to go through your evidence again. Just briefly overall, like on page 2, that's the request on April 13th, 2023 for the income and expense, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then you on page 3 you have just an example of the income and expense form.
Yep.
And then there was another one on June 9th, 2023, correct?
Yep.
And then you have the evidence of the signature.
Yep.
And that's it? You were talking about some other stuff that I didn't see. So
No, all I'm saying is that The property taxes and the notice of assessment was sent out to the same address over the years. And,
Okay, but you didn't provide any evidence,
no, I'm giving
visual evidence.
I'm
Okay.
giving verbal testimony. I'm under oath.
No, that's fine. I just want to know if I missed any or I didn't get some information. That's all.
No problem.
Okay.
And actually, to answer Carson's question or the applicant's question, I apologize. So we received the 2020 mailer, and we received the 2015 mailer and the 2013 mailer. So it seems to me the history for this property is that they'll never complete the income and expense mailer the first time, but they will complete it once they receive the second letter, the registered letter. And so when I'm looking at the 2015 income and expense mailer that we have on file, it's a printing company. I remember this property. So I'm assuming that it's been owner occupied for a significant amount of time because there's been no recent sales on this property either.
Okay, I have no further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Scholes, do you have any questions?
Owner occupied on the Estelle printing the entire building. There's no separate.
No,
tenants.
in the 2015 mailer that I just looked at,
Yes.
they had care and control of the entire space.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
And I have no questions, so we can go into camera and we'll make our determination.
I'm going to go to the washroom quickly, so I'll be back. By the time you guys come back, I'll be back.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I put the assessor in the waiting room, Mr. Chair. I'll go take us offline.
Thank you, Ms.
Hold on,
Harlan.
please. We're back online, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Froelich and Mr. Horsborough, we've come to a conclusion that we are going to grant the city's application for non-cooperation. So that puts the onus on you to go first. And again, I'll state that now that we've made this finding, any deduction or reduction that we may make if your application is successful will not have any effect because it won't take effect till next year. And next year, there's going to be a new assessment, meaning that any finding we make today is going to be moot anyway. So I'm asking if you wish to proceed under those circumstances. And if you do, it's your application. We'll let you do that. But it's not going to result in any assessment of reduction insofar as your client's concerned.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, as the taxpayer's advocate, I must proceed. I owe it to my client.
Well, it's not going to result in him having any reduction. So I don't know how your obligation to your client is going to be of any assistance to him. It might make him feel in the future that he should better file his reports when the city requests them. But I don't see how your dedication is going to result in any basic assistance to him. But it is your application, and in those circumstances, we will let you proceed. But in my opinion, it's basically a waste of time. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the subject property, 207 Debate Street, an assessed value of $1,657,000. The board will follow me to page 4. The subject property is a 10,780 square foot industrial warehouse built in 1988. The requested assessment amount is $1,274,000. Moving on to page 5, I provided an executive summary speaking to some of the issues. One issue for this property, cap rate of 5.4% on a older warehouse constructed in 1988 with a clear wall height of 17 feet. While the property is functional, it does lack the modern amenities, loading facilities, and clear wall heights that would be appropriate for a Class A property that would trade at a sub-6 cap rate. And with that, I'll continue on with my presentation. Moving on to page 12, I've provided the city's assessment workup. Just note the cap rate at 5.4%. On page 13, I've provided M&P's valuation of the subject property. In analyzing the market, we did find that the applied rental rate was slightly overstated, $94,325 as per the city's model, versus $91,630 as per our market analysis. Leaving the same parameters the same, we arrive at a net operating income of $86,002 with an applied capitalization rate of 6.75%, arriving at a rounded value of $1,274,000. Moving on to page 14, I have provided some satellite images, overview of the property on the next page, exterior photographs on page 16. And then moving on to page 17, a discussion of our valuation of the property. We did find in analyzing rents for similar properties, and you know, admittedly isn't always easy to find rental comparables for properties like this. I wasn't able to find some properties with a similar clear wall height. So I have looked at properties with a higher clear wall height. And we've ultimately decided that rental rate of $850 per square foot is appropriate for the subject. Moving on to page 18, the capitalization rate. The subject property would fall into the definition of a Class B industrial property. And as we can see in the table on the bottom of page 18, as per third-party market studies, capitalization rates for this type of asset range from 6 to 7%. Moving on to page 19, I have provided a table that summarizes the differences between Class A industrial properties and Class B industrial properties. And note that this property does not have a 24-foot to 36-foot clear wall height. They have a 17-foot clear wall height. Moving on to the next page, the page number has changed, but the heading is 12.4 cap rate table, prepared by a third party. You know, we can see what some of these properties have sold for and at what capitalization rates. Looking at the third party studies, looking at some sales, property like this, cap rate of 6.75 is most supportable. And then on the next page, I just have my conclusion again with the income workup and the requested valuation of $1,274,000. With that, I would ask the board to revise the assessment to that value, understanding that there won't be any tax savings, but the principle of it is that this property has been overassessed. And with that, I welcome any questions.
Okay, and Mr. Froelich, any questions?
Mr. Frolick, you're on mute.
Yeah, I understand. Yep. I do have questions with regards to the last comment, but because I disagree with that comment, but moving forward to expedite this process, I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Scholes, any questions?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mareski, any questions? You're mute, Mr. Mareski.
Sorry about that. I have no questions.
And I don't have any questions. So, Mr. Froelich, you can proceed with your evidence.
Yep, file number is 25297, roll number 06053084900. Assessed value is $1,657,000. I've gone through the property description already, so I won't go through that again. There was a sale for this property in 2008 for $600,000. And we do have some pictures here. Picture seems to be very basic, similar to what it was in when it was first built in 1988. It doesn't seem I think there may be new windows here. We have a location of the subject property. It is located in the St. Boniface Industrial Park. What we do have here, we define it as a flex warehouse. Market rent's $9.75. Vacancy is 1.5%. 3% expenses, $4 per shortfall. We come up with an operating income of $89,476. Our cap rate's 5.4%. The agent may say it seems to be very low, but because the property is so small, that's what's the major driver of the lower cap rate. And it shows the value of $1,657,000. Comparable leases that I have here, they're all in the St. Boniface Industrial Park. They're all similar sizes. They're all they're from just under 6,000 square feet to 17,000 square feet. You know, built in 1990 and 2000. And here's the range between $7 and $9.25. That concludes my official presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Horsburgh, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just ask one question. Just regarding the rent comparables. Right, I'm just gonna get back to that page. Yeah, just regarding the rent comparables on page 9. Were any leases analyzed with a lower or a more similar clear wall height to the subject?
Yeah, it's just it's so hard because there are some, I'm sure there are some in the neighborhood, but what happened, I was focusing on size of the property. So if there are ones that were similar wall heights, they may have been larger sizes. So my focus was similar sizes of the leasable area. That was my motivation.
Okay, just a final question. Would you agree that a higher clear wall height provides greater utility to tenants?
Yes, but when we're looking at property valuation, we're always looking at the three things. We're looking at rents, we're looking at cap rates, we're looking at vacancy. So this property has a low vacancy, and so that would be a part of the consideration. Yes.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Mariski, any questions?
Yeah, your cap rate is just again on the low end of the of what the city has on your page 10 chart there. And this one is not as new. Is a pre-2000.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, I know you said something about the size of it, but this is just what the model has
Well,
has put up?
because you know what, and yeah, this is what the model has derived right now. Moving forward for 2027, maybe there'll be some adjustments moving forward with regards to it. But it's hard to say though, right? There's a lot of factors. We got to see what happens with all the income and expense mailers that come in, right? And then you go look at the sales for stuff that we have during our cap rate study.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Ms. Scholes, any questions?
Asked and answered. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going back to Mr. Mariski's question because it is a low cap rate that's been assigned. The property is built in 1988, so it's not as new. And I guess I guess it doesn't have a really high wall height for a flex warehouse. Wouldn't that affect the cap rate?
Oh, definitely. And that's something we're looking towards 2027. But it's actually unfortunate because the property owner hasn't completed his 2024 income and expense mailer as well. And so
I understand all that, but at the same time, the property is what the property is.
Oh, exactly. And that's something moving forward. But I'm just talking about potential appeals going forward, because I just had it up. You know what? Definitely, Mr. Diamond, that you know, the lower ceiling height would be a part of it, but we also have other ones as well. I don't have them in my comparables right now, but I understand the applicant's question.
Okay, so I guess my next question is asking you, why would the size, being a smaller size, affect the cap rate?
Well, it's similar to with regards to size and cap rate are interlinked because you have more potential buyers for a property if the property is a lot smaller than it is a lot bigger, right? Like say, for example, you're going to have an easier time selling a 400,000 square foot bungalow in South St. Vital as opposed to $1 million property in Bridgewater or in Tuxedo. So, but cap rate's affected by the size of the property and the valuation of the property.
Okay, I don't think I have any other questions. Thank you very much. Any summation required by any of the parties here?
No, thank you.
Mr. Holbrook?
No desire for summation, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry, I have to download the agenda again. I don't know why, but my computer's requiring me to do that. So that takes us then to the next item, which is
1535 Burrows, Mr. Chair.
1535 Burrows. Thank you. Okay, so we can proceed with 1535 Burrows then.
Yep, I'm just bringing up.
Okay, and I've got your brief before me, Mr. Froelich.
Yep.
And I see again, I'll let you read your information, but I see again you're requesting that the burden of proof again be put on the applicant for non-cooperation.
That is correct.
Okay, go forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. File number is 25356. Applicant, the roll number is 14021553500. Address is 1535 Burrows. We have assessed value of $2,632,000 for this property. The quick property description: built in 2003, wall height 24, land area is 58,044. Plan area is 13,500. Leasable area is 15,500. There is some second floor office space here. Land to building ratio is 4.3. And we are asking for non-compliance for this property because we did not receive the 2022 income and expense mailer.
Mr. Froelich, let me just stop you here. I noticed that you indicated 15,500, but I see that
15,000. Leasable area 15,000. I apologize.
no problem. Okay, go ahead.
Just trying to go quickly, Mr. Chairperson. Request for information. We have not received the 2021 or 2022 mailer. Properties, it's a numbered company, 4442751, Manitoba Limited, 1335 Burrows Avenue. We send out the first letter on April 13th, 2023. On the next page, we have showing that the due date is May 4th, 2023. Bottom page, May 4th, 2023. Then we also have the registered letter that we sent out on June 9th, 2023. LP 661170319CA, which matches the registered letter that we sent across on the other side on page 5, confirming that we sent the first letter on April 13th, 2023, and with a due date of June 30th, 2023. We have on page 5, we show the signature available that they was signed by whoever, Mr. JC is the initials. And for this property here has a history of non-compliance. You know, property is owner occupied, but they didn't complete the 2022 mailer, the 2020 mailer, 2017. We've always had to send a registered letter to them since 2009, actually. That concludes my official presentation. And also, I've done this as well with other properties. Is that, let me just, so I can see everyone as I'm reading this document. We also have the tax bill for 2025, where it was a numbered company sent out to 1535 Burrows. We have the property assessment notice that was in 2025, also sent out to 1535 Burrows. And actually, there's a supplemental that we sent out in 2013 with the same number company at 1535 Burrows. And the application form was also sent out or filled by Mr. Joe Cook, which matches the initials that was received on the signature paper from the Canada Post, which is JC. So in this situation, there's truly a link between whoever filled out the application process and who actually signed the documentation with regards to the register letter. That concludes my formal presentation with regards to non-compliance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Froelich. Mr. Horsburgh, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of questions. Mr. Froelich, has the owner of 1535 Burrows, have they ever responded to income expense questionnaire?
Our history shows they haven't responded at all since
Never.
2011.
Since 2011, so they've never responded according to city records.
No, the records that I have in front of me today.
Has this property ever been appealed?
No, it has not been.
Do you think it's possible that, given that they've never responded, has the city done anything to follow up? Or
Well, we would follow up if they didn't pay their tax bill. So they've received their tax bill every year. They've paid their tax bill every year. So the city would have no reason to follow up with regards to that.
no? Okay. I have provided rebuttal for the request for non-compliance on this property as well, Mr. Chair.
You've seen the rebuttal, Mr. Froelich?
No, I have not. I requested it, but the applicant never provided it to me.
Okay, I'd like you maybe to see it before we do, just to, if you have any.
Well, if it's
objection.
similar to the last piece of documentation, and the applicant can answer this. If it's similar to the last piece of documentation that we received, then I have no issues with you guys both us receiving it at the same time because it doesn't change. It doesn't change my position.
Okay, Mr. Horsburgh, can you tell us what your rebuttal, where it leads us to?
Yes, so this is a new client for me. So yeah, as soon as I found out from the city about non-compliance, I asked him, and he said that he's never received it. He's never filled one out because he says he's never received it, and he's went to his lawyer and he swore an affidavit. He says he's never received it. The fact that it's never been filled out and never been returned and the property's never been appealed, I think that says something.
Well, I think if he appealed before and found that he had non-cooperation, might lead him to fill it out every year. The fact that he's never filled it out, never appealed before, leads us to the fact that he probably figures he doesn't have to fill it out. But we'll see your rebuttal.
Okay. Can I speak to it now then, or do we have to wait a few
Speak to it.
minutes?
Speak to it if you wish to. If you want to, before we see
I
your
would like to
rebuttal.
see it though. I would like to see it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just a moment, Mr. Chair. I'm going to send it to the assessor.
Okay, and we have it.
Just a moment, please, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Let's see here.
Got it.
Okay, that's good.
And have we got the rebuttal?
No, not yet.
Just shh.
Hey,
No,
this
just a
one's
moment.
signed.
Oh, there we go. I got it.
Okay, you can have it now, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. I'll open up here. Okay.
On there.
Does everybody have the rebuttal?
Yes.
Okay. So I see the rebuttal. Any questions regarding the rebuttal, Mr. Froelich?
Well, who's the JC that signed the documentation?
You're asking Mr. Horsburgh that question?
Yeah,
Well, that's the big question. There is a strip mall right next to it. It's possible this has always been delivered to the neighboring property. Again, I can only go off of what my clients told me and what my client has sworn in front of a notary public to be true.
I see. And so isn't it sort of ironic that John Cook, who filled out the application for revision, is the same person that signed it, but you have no proof to tell us who the JC is for this property?
Well, when I spoke to the owner, he said he's not sure. He hasn't received them. I mean, the property's never been appealed. He's never filled one out and sent it in. My only ask is that in this case, owner occupied property, second year of the cycle. My ask to the board is that this taxpayer be given the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, well, the point is, if we gave everyone the benefit of the doubt, we wouldn't be able to correct a model every 2 years. My question is, has this property owner been delinquent in his property taxes?
I have no idea.
Okay, but as you're representing the owner for this property, so wouldn't that be a consideration? Because he has paid his property taxes every year. It's not outstanding, so he receives one letter that is for property taxes, and our service of delivery is consistent in our process. So I find it
You're
odd.
asking a question or arguing right now, Mr. Froelich?
I just find it odd that he receives all the other documentation from the city of Winnipeg, then he does like that, and all you're telling me is your answer is, this is what the owner has told me, and this is my answer. Correct, Mr. Applicant?
That's correct. I mean, do you know, is he on tip? I mean, I pay my property taxes online.
No, he's not on tip.
No, okay.
No, I don't have that documentation. But the point is, there is nothing outstanding right now. And for this circumstances here, he did receive we did receive the payment notice with regards in 2013. Same numbered company for the supplemental in 2013 that I have here right now.
Okay. Are you asking questions right now, Mr.
No,
Froelich?
I'm just answering the question with regards to it. Thank you. No
Okay.
other questions.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Moretzky, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Horsburgh, I noticed that on his sworn affidavit, he indicates that his name is Joe Cook, and he is a 1535 borough, so that's his address, same address that it was delivered to. Would you agree?
Well, correct, yeah.
Yeah, and the initial on the signature confirmation is JC. So, are you saying that the JC who signed that is other than Joe Cook?
That's what my client has told me, and the signatures don't match. I mean, he's signed here.
Oh,
There's a signature on the mailer. The signatures don't match.
okay, I guess again, we have to go into camera to make a determination on this.
Okay. All right, I've put the assessor in the waiting room, Mr. Chair. Take us offline. I'll be right back.
Thank you.
We're back online, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So again, we're going to grant the application of the assessment department for non-cooperation. Mr. Horsburgh, we note that the affidavit acknowledges that Mr. Cook lives or resides at the address of 1535 Burroughs, and he attests to that in his affidavit. It was delivered to that address. We're not going to say that he is following an affidavit that is in any way not truthful as far as his memory goes. Maybe he doesn't remember receiving it, but JC is not that common. It was sent to that address, and we have to, on the preponderance of the evidence, accept the fact that it was received, not fulfilled, and so we're granting the non-cooperation. And again, that was the onus on you. And again, we'll indicate that any deduction that you might achieve today will not amount to anything because of the fact that next year's going to be a new assessment year. And the penalty is that if we do make a finding, it won't be applicable till the next taxation year. So do you want to proceed?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand the rationale for granting the non-compliance. It's not an ideal situation, and I'm doing the best I can to advocate for my client.
And we acknowledge that, and we're not in any way indicating that these failures have anything to do with you, Mr. Hersborough.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I do appreciate that. And I know for the sake of time, it's already 11:15. I do feel that I owe it to the client to go through my presentation, but I will try to be as brief and succinct as I can be.
Okay.
So 1535 Burrows, assessed value of $2,632,000. If the board will follow me on page 4, M&P has determined that the market value of the property is significantly lower than the assessed value. We've determined a market value of $1,735,000. Now moving on to page 5. This property, while it's functional, it certainly has some issues. One main issue is the location of the property. It's close to kind of the Inkster Industrial Park area. But the property is located directly across the street from some social housing where the client has ran into a number of locational related issues as it pertains to the operating expenses that he's been incurring for the property, as it pertains to vandalism and whatnot. But really the biggest issue on this property, the assessors applied a capitalization rate of 4.45% to the property. 4.45%. We don't even see cap rates that low on multifamily buildings. There's absolutely no way to justify a capitalization rate that low on this type of an asset. So now moving on, we'll go over to skip ahead to, I believe, page 12. Let's skip ahead to page 12. I provided the city's assessment. Note the capitalization rate at 4.45%, which I would assume is model generated. On page 13, I provided our income workup. Again, the property's owner occupied, there's no lease in place. Potential income at $127,350. Looking at the market, I feel that is a reasonable reflection of what this property could achieve in terms of a rent. If it weren't owner occupied and we're in the market, so I've accepted that, as well as I've accepted vacancy rate, shortfall allowance, etc. But there is just no way to justify a capitalization rate of 4.45%. Property like this with the locational issues, there's a higher degree of risk. So a cap rate of 6.75% is appropriate for this asset. Moving on to page 14, provided a satellite image of the subject property. You can note on the all around on the other side of Burrows there, it's Manitoba Housing. It's the neighborhood has some troubles, and the owner has certainly paid a price for some of the locational issues in the neighborhood. Moving on, page 15 and 16, exterior photographs of the property. Again, sorry, the page numbers change after page 16, but under 12, valuation. Applicant accepts the potential rent as determined by the city assessor. Discussion of capitalization rates. Again, I've spoken to this already quite a bit. But you look at the cap rate table under 12.2, there nowhere nowhere in this table is there anything that suggests that a sub-5 cap rate on an industrial asset is appropriate. There's absolutely no evidence that would support a cap rate that low. We move on. Really, I guess that really is the gist of my presentation. I'll bring the board's attention a few pages further under the heading 12.5. Again, I do apologize for the page numbers not carrying throughout this report. But let's give the board a moment to get to section 12.5, site-specific considerations. So again, any potential buyer, they're going to look at the financials of the property, have an idea as to what kind of operating expenses are they incurring. They're getting annual thefts, annual break-ins, vandalism. It's tough for him. I do feel for the client here. So yeah, with that, my conclusion is that the capitalization rate applied to this property in terms of the assessment totally out of line. If you're going to actually look at the way the market would treat this property, you're going to have probably a mid to high 6 cap rate on it. So that's why I've applied 6.75. And with that, I would ask the board to revise the assessment, understanding that, of course, there will be no tax savings achieved.
Thank you, Mr. Horsborough. Mr. Froelich, any questions?
Just let me just make sure I'm off Zoom. Just give me a sec here. Go here. Yep, awesome. You can hear me. I will. My questions will be addressed during my presentation with regards to the application because I have significant issues with the 6.5% cap rate. But moving forward, I have no questions. Thank you. At this time.
Okay, Mr. Marinsky, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Scholes, any questions?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
And I don't have any questions either. So, Mr. Froelich, you can proceed then.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. File number is 25-356. Roll number is 14021553500. Assessed value that we have is $2,632,000. Property was built in 2003. It was 24-foot ceiling heights, which is significantly higher than a similar property that we looked at. I think the property on Dawson was 20 feet. We have a land area of 58,044, plan area of 13,500. We have a leasable area of 15,000, and we have a land to building ratio of 4.3. So what you can see here is in this situation, it's clearly second floor office space on the bottom of page 6 that we have here. I haven't inspected this building, but to me, I think it's we could assume that it's a second floor office space there. Applicant hasn't provided any pictures of the subject property, so I'm not too sure if the applicant was there or not. On page 7 is an overhead view of it. And the property shows that it is an Inkster Industrial Park. Inkster Industrial Park is one of the nicer industrial parks within the city of Winnipeg. And its location is on Burroughs, which is a high traffic area. And there's 2 access points, right? There's an access point on the north, so in the east and the west side that we could see on page 7. Storage warehouse. So 15,000 square feet, we have a market rent of $849, which is consistent with regards to other market rents that we've had. Potential rent is $127,350. Vacancy 3.5%, expenses 3%, short for $4. Net operating income 117,106. When I see a cap rate of 4.45%, that's a flag for me. If the property owner would have completed his income and expense mailer, maybe this property could have been a 15.1, and I could have made a reduction on that because I do have some issues with regards to the cap rate as well. However, this property was built in 2003, 24-foot ceiling heights in a great industrial park, and the applicant is asking for a 6.75% cap rate. Nowhere in my analysis and my observations during the 2025 appeal period was there a 6.75% cap rate. So I do have issues with regard to that, which is why I didn't ask any questions. Comparable property. So what I've done here, because it's always been a challenge with regards to trying to find comparable properties. So I'm in different areas here. I'm on Omans Creek, King Edward, which is nearby, Winfield's nearby, Northwest Quadrant, and I got 2 properties on Dawson Road. We got a variety of leases here, all in similar square footage areas. So my range is from 9,600 square feet up to 23,000 square feet. Ceiling heights are slightly lower than what we have here, between 20 and 23 feet. And effective year built is between 1992 and 2009. Here are the rents that we have here. Our rents range from $967, $13, $960, $11.18, and $755. You know, all within the range of what we have here for comparable properties. With regard to the cap rates, I'm open to questions with this, and I fully acknowledge that our cap rate does seem low with regard to this property. However, that issue would have been resolved if the property owner would have completed his income and expense mailer information on a timely basis. I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hirschberg, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one question, Mr. Frolick. What kind of a cap rate would you think would be appropriate for the subject?
5.
5?
5.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Scholes, any questions?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Mariski, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. All right. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'm still kind of internalizing all these MAA clause numbers. Can you, Mr. Fuller, can you remind me what the 15.1 is?
Oh, the 15.1 is when we avoid the appeal. So if we look at the docket, Mr. Boretsky,
Yeah.
we had 12 properties on this docket.
Right.
5 of them we did a 15.1 agreement.
Okay.
Where we were able to avoid the appeal.
I see. Okay, that's the only question I had. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, Mr. Froelich, because this is important.
Yeah.
How do you determine that a 5% cap rate is appropriate?
Well, you know what? It's a quality building here. It's a quality building by far. So like when I look at at the applicant saying this property is similar in his analysis to 205 Hutching Street, how do you compare a building that was built on Hutching Street in like the 3 different phases? You know, that's where and where it was built in such a manner, like it's an apples and oranges conversation, plain and simple. And so and even with regards to the Hutchings cap rate implied by the tax agent, I do have rebuttal information that we'll be addressing in the next properties. And so I'm just my subjective analysis.
Okay.
We are in a profession that's an art and a science.
Can I ask one more question? Sorry.
Go ahead, Ms.
Yeah.
Scholes.
So on previous properties, when you're talking about your cap rate, you said, newer property, 2,000, you gave a 5.6, then you gave small properties 5.4, but this one you're like bottoming out at 5, which isn't even on your radar for an industrial, where you're looking at 5.35 to 7.3. This property is 2003. It is newer.
It's newer with a bigger ceiling height and a good industrial park with a good land to building ratio.
Yeah. But you're
Those
still
are all
low on
factors. All factors.
Okay. But you're still low on your cap rate from what you're previously stating.
Which is why if the property owner would have completed his income and expense mailer, I would have made a recommendation.
Okay.
But not using a 6.75% cap rate that the applicant is asking for.
Understood. Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Hey, Ms. Scholes' question brought up another question for me. So right now I'm looking at the table the city has, and it indicates that cap rates on industrial buildings are 5.35 and 20%. And you're advocating 5%, which would mean that this building is better than more than 80% of the warehouse in the city.
Exactly. Like I would say the inventory of industrial warehouses in our product category 20% of them were not built like in the century. You know what I mean? Like we have a lot of old inventory, and so I don't know the numbers per se, but that's why I felt comfortable with a 5% cap rate.
Okay. That concludes my questions then, and we'll then proceed to the next one, and just bear with me because I've got to go back to my agenda. And okay, so that was Burroughs. And it's the next property, item number 7 at 40 Innsbruck Drive.
Yes, it is, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you.
To pull that up.
Okay, I've got your brief before us. Mr. Fuller, you can proceed.
Yep, for sure. File number is 25336. Roll number is 14100 130740. Assessed value that we have for this property is 12,000,001. When we're looking at the property description, there's 5 different buildings built in various stages between 2010 and 2024. Wall heights vary between 10 and 36 feet. We have a land area of 292,724. We have a plan area of 66,594 and a leasable area of 75,825 with a land to plan ratio of 4.4. We are asking for non-compliance for this property. And as you can see on page 2, property owner did complete the income and expense mailer in 2021, but they did not do so in 2022. Our process is similar with regards to other properties that you can see on page 2 and 3. Page 4 shows the registered letter that we sent out on June 9th. The LP 661-169-664 matches what we sent out from the Canada Post documentation on page 5, requesting that the new due date for the income and expense mailer for 2022 is June 30th, 2023. And there is a signature here with regard to this property on the bottom. And on the top of page 6, I'm just showing the information with regards to that, how the signature and our tracking information, how we file things within the assessment department. Thank you. Also, just showing consistency in our process as well. I've also printed out the 2025. Can you see me or? All of a sudden I lost. Yeah, all of a sudden I lost you. My screen moved up. Yeah, so I do have in front of me the 2025 tax bill listed as 40 Innsbruck, Bar Natural Bakery and Milling. I also have a notice of assessment that we sent out to the subject property for a supplemental appeal that we sent out on September 18th, 2024. And I do have the property assessment notice that we sent out on June 5th, 2024 as well in front of me. And the letter that we have sent to us is also, for regard to the application process, is also coming from 40 Innsbruck. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Horsburgh, any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Scholes, any questions?
Just one again, in regards to the cap rate 4.95.
No,
Well,
we're now dealing with
just-
Oh,
non-compliance.
sorry, yep, go ahead, no.
No, Mr. Beretsky, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess the only question I have, because you've indicated in other situations that are the taxes on this property current?
Yeah, they're up to date based on the information that I have here.
So the tax bill, and do you know if it's on tip?
No, it's not on tip.
Okay. Again, we have to go into camera to determine what we're going to do on this, so we'll proceed.
We're back online, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, again, I can indicate that we're granting the application of non-cooperation, which puts the onus on the applicant. And I know Mr. Horsburgh's position on this already, so I'm not going to belabor the matter. And Mr. Horsburgh, you can proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I appreciate it, and I'll try to keep it brief. So if the board will follow me starting on page 4. Subject property is a modern mixed construction industrial complex constructed in various phases between 2010 and 2024. Total square footage, 62,594 square feet, with wall heights that range from 10 to 36 square feet. The subject property is a flour mill, so it's a bit of a unique property. It's been assessed as a storage warehouse, and in fact, it is a flour mill. So the requested assessment, $9,900,000. So we'll move on to page 5, the executive summary. The subject's a purpose-built, single-tenant storage warehouse that operates as a flour. This is a purpose-built asset. If this property were to go onto the market without the tenant, who's entering the flour milling market? Not many people. So it's, from an investment perspective, it's a very unique asset. And there are a very limited number of investors, a very limited number of potential tenants for a property like this. It's a flour mill. And it's a modern flour mill, which is quite unique. The assessors applied a sub-5 capitalization rate to this property. I just can't see that happening. The risk profile for a property like this it is massive because of the limited market. So moving on, we can skip ahead to page 12. Cities provided their valuation here. I think I misspoke when I said the leasable area was 65,000. No, it is about 75,000, and I've included that in my analysis. And fundamentally, the issue here is the cap rate. So if we move on to page 13, I've provided my analysis here. Again, property's owner occupied. I've accepted that the potential income reflects market. And it's really just a matter of the capitalization rate for this property. So again, we're on page 13. Acknowledging that this is a newer property, although it was purpose built as a flour mill over various years in various different sections. I've applied a capitalization rate of 6% to the property. If this were just a standard storage warehouse on Inksbrook with good clear wall heights, cap rate between 5 and 5.5 would probably make sense. But it's a flour mill, and there's a risk profile there that's different from any other sort of industrial asset. Hence the 6% capitalization rate. And I think I can really leave it there for the sake of not going on and on and on. I'll leave it there. The conclusion, subheading number 13, 9.9 million, 6% cap rate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hertzberg. Mr. Froelich, any questions?
I just have one question, and it sort of ties in with the last property as well. You're okay with a 6% property cap rate on this property. However, you're asking a 6.75% cap rate on the Burroughs property. Can you explain to me the thought process?
No, absolutely. So different risk profile. The property on Burroughs, they're facing significant issues that are locational. High crime, vandalism. There's a different risk profile for these asset types. This is a new property. Like, it is 2010. It's newer. The last addition was completed in 2024, and it's a much larger property. So they're fundamentally different assets. But I have a hard time trying to compare my cap rate analysis for that property versus this property. They're very different properties.
And I appreciate this is a flour mill, But the question is, aren't both the properties located in the Inkster Industrial Park?
Well, the Inkster Industrial Park, there's the section on Burrows, which is not as good as the Inksbrook part. Inksbrook is the newer section of an Inkster Industrial Park. There's still vacant lots there. It's all newer.
The question was, are they both in the same industrial park?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the actual distance between the Innsbruck property and the Burrows property?
I'm not sure. It feels like we're now kind of comparing.
No, well, I'm just wanting to understand the methodology process, right? And so I will, and the other question is do you have any, did you inspect this property?
I haven't yet, no.
Okay, so you don't know, okay, because I understand there may be issues with regards to it, but I'm just looking at future potential other development. Thank you.
Yeah, no, and I want to get, it's a new client. I want my clients to comply. I don't know why they haven't, and I hope in future years, we can resolve some of these issues, but no, I recognize that it's not an ideal situation.
Okay, well, it's just I need to be true to my process, right? So that's why I ask. Thank you.
Fair enough, yeah.
Okay, and Ms. Scholes?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Boretsky?
I have no questions, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Horsborough, thank you for being brief, and it does come down to cap rate, and we've got to determine, based on the evidence that we're going to hear from both you and Mr. Froelich, what an appropriate cap rate is. So I'll let Mr. Froelich proceed at this point.
Yep, sure thing. Just I just wanted to check one thing quickly, chair people. Yeah, so they haven't completed the 2024 income and expense mailer either, just for the record. So I've already gone through the property description. So newer building, 5 different buildings built at different stages, right? On page 6 of my brief. So you see the bottom of page 6. I haven't inspected this property. One of my colleagues did go to did see the property, the new additions that took place, and I do have pictures of that. So the curb appeal is nice with regards to this property. It's obviously a flour mill. They're milling flour. You could see the equipment in the on the top of page on my picture on the top of page 7. We're looking at the old pictures here from 2012 where they were. On the bottom on 2012 on page 7, and then subsequently what are the pictures are here from 2024. So I do believe when I looked at the changes that had taken place, the new buildings are on the west portion or on the left-hand side of 2024. Here are the new building additions that I have here. So this is the pictures that we took back when we drove by, and here's some pictures with regard to this. So if you're looking at the utility of these storage areas, high utility, these ceiling heights here are 33 feet. So lots of value premium. Like we talk about investment grade, the top tier of investment properties are anything north of 30. These new areas are 33 feet. And the buildings that were built during the periods of time, so we also have 3,200 square feet that has a 36 foot ceiling height. In 2010, they added 27,750 square feet, which is also 31 feet. So when we're looking at the cap rate of this property and why it's so different, the cap rate for this property is because it has premium ceiling heights with regards to the majority of the building here. And so you can see that on the top of page 9. And like I said, I didn't inspect the property, so I don't have access to other pictures. So what we have here is I'm on page 10 right now, if all the panel members are with me. So 3 areas, 55,000 square feet, 11,000, 8622 square feet. Our blended net rent is $851. Leasable area is 75,925. Potential rent is $645,953 with a 3.5% cap rate, 3% expenses, $4 shortfall with a net operating income of $594,029. Is the cap rate 4.95 a bit low? Yeah. Is it lower than our cable? Yes, it is. But this is a new building. This is a newer property. This is a premium property here. And so this is why it has good land build to ratio. It has, when I look at the pictures here, the overhead picture here is a good access point. It has still lots of potential for development if the property wants to expand. These are all factors that go into building this property. If you look at the northern portion of the lot, there's a lot of land there for potential development. So our cap rate's 4.95%, and it comes up with a value of $12 million. So then what I've done here in my process here, our blended rate is 851. So I got some comparable properties of similar size, of various sizes. And in my analysis here, I wanted to go to properties that were all with effective year built after the 21st century. So they're all over the city of Winnipeg, on Notre Dame. Looking at the leases here, most of them are pretty current, and my range is pretty tight here, right? But the key thing to look at is the average wall height, 20 feet, between 28 and 31 feet. So the one that was for 31 feet, that rent is like $12, right? And so when we're looking at all of our rent comparables, our rent's fine. The applicant has no issues with regards to it. But in the same regards, would the cap rate be higher if there was a higher rent? That could be the question as well. And when we're looking at all the new inventory that's taking place that we can't use, that's in the roster area, those premium investment grade properties are getting rents that are in the mid-teens, if not higher. And so we don't have access to them, we don't use them. But when we talk about those type of properties, those rents are a lot higher. So overall, you may not like our cap rate, but I think our market rent's very fair for this property, and which is why the $12 million property value is very fair in my eyes. I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Hertzberg, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of questions. I guess, Mr. Frolic, the property is a purpose-built flour mill. Are you aware of any other similar properties in the city that are modern?
Well, yeah, like flour mills, I know one flour mill which is on Higgins, which is old and outdated in the city of Winnipeg. And unfortunately, I haven't inspected this property, so I don't know what are the capabilities of it, if it was repurposed in any way, shape, or form. At the end of the day, the bones of this building is built 2010 or newer, so it's a newer building. If a new property owner took it, like I don't know the potential of the property because I haven't been there and you haven't provided any pictures for this property. So that's how I just look at it.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Frolic, would you agree that a flour mill is going to have a fair bit of machinery and equipment, a fair bit of infrastructure, built into the property for flour milling?
Yeah, but I don't know what the potential of the building is if the flour building's out. When I look at the property valuation, I'm looking at a brand new area and brand new property that's 75,000 square feet that has good ceiling heights. That's what I see. If it was repurposed, I don't know what would be the limitations, or if it could only be a flour mill moving forward if there was a different ownership or a different tenant here.
Would you agree that there would be quite a significant expense to remove the flour milling infrastructure to convert this into a say investment grade storage warehouse?
I'm not an expert with regards to decommissioning a flour mill.
No, I don't think there are many people that have that expertise, to be honest. And I guess just my final question. Anywhere in the disclosure, is there any support for a sub-5 cap rate?
You know what? When we looked at the cap rate and the model for this property, I could see why we're using a 4.95% cap rate. Because this property, when you look at the 20 to 80th percent, there's not a lot of inventory that was built after 2010 within the city of Winnipeg. So based on our analysis, because it is a flour mill, but I'm focusing on the warehouse building per se, and I don't think a 4.95% cap rate would be, could I move it a quarter of a point? Yes. Would I move this a quarter of a point if the property owner, filled out his income and expense mailer? Potentially. But at the end of the day, this is a solid property.
Okay. Final question. In your opinion, would the market look at this property as a, a functional storage warehouse, or would the market look at this property as a flour mill?
Like I've stated before, potential owners look at the potential of the building. They don't look at the limitations that are in place.
Okay, thank you very much. No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Mareski, any questions?
If you were to look at this property as you did, with the ceiling heights and everything, and what you could do with it, if you knew, you know that it's a flour mill, but if you had a situation like that where you knew it was a flour mill and had internal structures in, would that impact your cap rate?
Potentially, if we did it on a site-specific basis, but this is a model, right?
Mhm.
So without pictures and documentation, I don't know what potential limitations there are for this property, so I can't really answer that question, sir.
Would you agree that if it was a flour mill, it would likely have a lot of internal structures in it?
Oh, yes, I would agree upon that for sure, because the roof itself shows what's taking place in there, and I have inspected the flour mill on Higgins, so I am mindful of that.
Okay. Yeah, I guess what I wanted to know from you is if that situation exists where a building is purpose built, then your cap rate would be higher. Is that it's more of a hypothetical question, I guess.
Well, the point is, but we're not. Yeah, but my hypothetical answer is this: I'm not valuing this property as a flour mill. I'm factoring this property as a warehouse. And if you look at my pictures in my brief, there is, and I don't know the other aspects of the building here. I don't see a lot of limitations on the top of page 9 in terms of what's on the new portion of the building here, which is where this portion is 33 feet.
Okay. Yeah, I think I hear what you're saying. Okay, thank you. No questions. No more questions.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Scholes? Any
No
questions?
questions at this time. Thank you.
Okay, and I think all my questions have been answered, so we can go on with the next item, I guess, which
Mhm.
hey, hang on.
1301 Clarence Avenue.
Okay, I better download my, okay, just give me a minute then.
Mr. Chair, could I ask for 5 minutes just to go to the washroom?
Yeah, we can have 5 minutes. So we'll be back then at 11:30, okay?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
We're back online, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Froelich. We're next proceeding with the property at 1301 Clarence Avenue. And you can present your evidence when you're ready. You're muted, Mr. Froelich.
Sorry, it's showing respect and then you forget these things.
No problem.
Just to let the panel members know, there are 3 properties that we're dealing with right now. They're all similar. They are all connected to one another with regards to a multi-role post-reference sale. And so some of the information will be consistent, in my brief will be consistent. I've never inspected any of these properties, so I just wanted to give everyone a heads up before I move any further. File number is 25465, roll number is 0307035760. Property value in 2026, our value was $3,652,000. 5 buildings, 1 to 2 stories, built between 1981 and 1998. Wall heights are between 10 and 20 feet. Land area is 56,891. Plan area is 22,054. And we have a leasable area of 32,054 with a land to plan area of 2.58%. What we do have here is we haven't asked for non-compliance because there's a change of ownership. There was a post-reference sale that I blocked out. And there was a sales listings for this property. Property was was listed on page 2. But before I got ahead of myself here, just to let you know, the model value initially was from 2025, $3,828,000. So on page 4, there's an overview where a fully leased single tenant 4-building complex in Fort Garry on page 2. Here showing the 3 properties that are in question. 1301 Clarence is listed as one roll number. Then we got 101 Irene and 77 Irene. So 1305 is with 1301. And we got some pictures here. So you can see the pictures on page 4, and this is from the sales listing of the 1301 and 1305 Clarence properties. And then if we look at the office space on the bottom portion of on the bottom left-hand side, you can see the office space for 1305 Clarence Avenue, which is a part of the second floor space. From the sales listing here showing the areas in question with regards to the plan layout. And where this property is located at on page 7 with regards to the southwest Fort Garry Industrial Park area and some of the major tendencies that are in the neighborhood on page 7. Page 8, there's a property overview of the property. Property is located in Fort Garry Industrial section between Irene and Sony Place. Northwest quadrant, it's giving you the total building area sizes here. The property taxes for the Irene property was $63,647 in 2022. With regards to the loading area on 1301 and 1305, 2 dock doors, 1 grade door, lots of parking. Page 10. What we have here for the storage warehouse is we have the area is $32,054, $8.51 a square foot, utilizing a 4.5% vacancy, 3% expenses, shortfall of $4. We come up with a net operating income of $246,920. Using a cap rate of 6.45%, we come up with a value of $3,652,000. Using comparables that we have here, similar sizes, they're all across the city of Winnipeg because my focus was to be similar sizes. We got a couple properties. We got Bunting, which is in northwest Winnipeg, and Sherwood's also northwest. And in the southwest section, we have 100 Irene, we have 15 Scurfield and 1460 Scurfield. Wall heights vary between 12 feet and 28 feet. And effective year builds are between 1964 and 2000. And our rents range between $7.95 and $11.50 a square foot. Our cap rate for this property, because we consider this building to be even though it's sold as a multi-role property, we consider this to be a single tenanted property. And our cap rate of 6.45% is within our range of between 5.35% and 7.3%. And industry leaders feel that we're within the normal range as well. That concludes my formal presentation, and thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hertzberg, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just 1 or 2 questions regarding the photos on pages 4 and 5 and 6. Mr. Frog, these came from the sales brochure, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Have you inspected the property?
I stated in my opening presentation that I have not inspected any of these properties.
Okay, sorry, no, I might have misheard. I wanted to clarify with the photos, that's all. Yeah, no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Scholes, any questions?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mariska, any questions?
Yeah, so on page 10, when you do your work up here, you got your net operating income $246,920 at a cap rate of 6.45, and that equals $3,828,217, correct?
Yes, and so and then what happened is that that's what we had here. Then there was so we're dealing with but the 2026 value. Okay, so long story short is there was a 15-1 agreement signed for this property with a previous agent. And so when I looked at, so that rent that we used was the parameters are exactly the same, but we dropped the rent from 851 to 812. And I'm sorry for missing that. And that will be the case with the other two properties. So I do apologize. So the rent that we used to come up with a value of $3,652,000 is $8.12.
Okay,
so
so
what was
that
your-
NOI then is not correct?
No,
Or-
that NOI is not correct.
Can you give me the corrected NOI again, please?
I could figure it out. Just give me a sec here. Let me pull it up here. What the heck? Did I do a workup for this one?
812, you said? 812?
812, yeah, just bear with me here. You know what? You know what? Just give me one sec here.
I can also,
You know what? I'm just going to pull up. Just give me a sec here, Mr. Moretzky. I'm going to pull up the 15-1 agreement that we signed for this property. And I just need to get the right screen here and find the right tab. Here.
yeah, I just plugged that number in there. It's close to the number, but not quite.
Yeah, because
$4,000 off.
we have rounding issues with regard to this property. And so when I look at it just give me one sec. Yeah, so it was 812.8. So $8.12.128 to give us an income of a GPF 260,535.
And then you get an NOI of 235,577. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm sorry for missing that, because, for with regards to 15-1 agreements, we do them. And then once we do a 15-1 agreement for one cycle year, we just like we honor agreements moving forward at the municipal board levels, we try to be consistent in our process. And so, there were no changes to the valuation for 2026.
Cap rates now are going significantly higher here now too. You got 6.45, which is almost a full point than where you were before in some of these other properties. When was this one built here? This was built.
It was built in a couple stages. So between 1981 and 1998, so first portion was built in 1991. That was 10,000 square feet. That was 19 feet. The smallest portion, that's 10 feet, is only 1,344 square feet. And the most recent portion is 20 feet, and that's 3,780.
So according to the chart, then you're going way higher than you were before, according to the City of Winnipeg chart. Now, what would be the reason for that? When it's also an industrial?
Strictly because of age. When you're looking at older, newer properties, like I think three of our other properties are built in the 21st century. Age matters. And
Wasn't one built in 1988 though?
Yeah, but it's a blended rate, and that's only 1998 is only 37,000, like almost 4,000 square feet on a leasable area of 32,000, right? So if you're going for, what is that? Maybe, less than 10%, maybe a bit more.
Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So a couple of questions. First of all, you have a wall height of between 10 and 20 feet. Do you know what portion would be 10 feet? And would that be warehouse or office or?
You know what? Actually, when I pulled it up, I hate to misspeak. Let me just pull it up right here right now because I did see it. And I actually think that section, and I don't even know when I look at the overhead picture for it. Just bear with me for 1 sec, please. I think it was building number 4. And it says office, it's the office space.
Okay, now next question. I see that on the bottom page 1, it says recommendation model value was
Yeah,
4,489,000. Was that before the 15.1 was agreed to?
that is correct.
And what was the previous cap rate, do you know?
It was
On
the
the
same
model.
cap rate. All we did is we just changed the rent.
Just change the rent?
Yep, just change
Okay,
the
so,
rent.
so it always had a 6.45 cap rate?
Yep, that is correct.
Okay. Okay, so I guess that is my questions. So, Mr. Horsborough, you can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the property we're discussing is 1301 Clarence Avenue. The property was appealed last year by the tenant. I believe they were represented by Ducharme McMillan out of Toronto. My client purchased the property, admittedly post a reference. But he or they did purchase the property. Combined purchase price was less than the combined assessment. The owner, based out of Calgary, despite telling him, it's post a reference, it's not admissible. We reviewed the property, and the assessment just isn't quite there. It's an odd property. It's an older property. Like functionally, the layout of it is quite unique. And it's just, there are a limited number of tenants that are going to be interested in this kind of property. It's currently occupied by an electronics manufacturing company. To my knowledge, they're the last electronics manufacturing company in Winnipeg. Moving on to page 5. This property was built various phases. It's not really one building as much of it's several buildings kind of mishmashed together. I've classified it as Class C, given the very clear wall heights, the layout of the property. It's just, there's a very diminished market for this kind of unique of an asset. So our valuation of $3,292,000 falls more in line with what the property was actually purchased for. I'm not relying on the purchase price. I haven't included it in my evidence, but this falls more in line with what the property actually was worth after it was on an open market. Just moving on, skipping ahead a few pages. We can go ahead to page 12. Again, I pulled this assessment income workup from the last year's disclosure for it. So again, Mr. Frolick's already addressed the discrepancies there. So now moving on to page 13, we have ultimately accepted the rent. It corresponds with the lease in place. All other parameters were acceptable. However, the cap rate, the risk profile for this asset type, 7.5% cap rate is warranted. Moving on to page 14, satellite images of the property, some exterior images of the property. And then moving on to page 16, discussion of capitalization rates. So the subject property, it falls into a bit of a niche. Like today the industrial market in Winnipeg, it's moved really away from manufacturing facilities into warehousing. We would talk about Centerport, all the new development, or industrial in the Winnipeg market. It's all warehouse. The manufacturing sector in the country, in the city, has suffered over the years. We don't really see a lot of new manufacturing type buildings coming onto the market. You know, this property was kind of built out as the previous owner needed it, as their needs shifted and their demands shifted. You know, it wasn't purpose built as an investment grade asset. You know, this is a property that fundamentally carries a different risk profile. So on page 17, I have a bit of a table just to kind of explaining the differences between Class B and Class C. You know, we look at the characteristics here. So again, property like this, it's manufacturing, designed for manufacturing, not for warehousing. So again, your list of potential tenants decreases already, right? It's not a warehousing facility, it's a manufacturing facility. You know, adaptability. You know, this property was built out over several phases for several years. You know, there's some functional obsolescence in terms of the layout. And really that's the reality for a Class C asset like this. So on page 18, I've provided a bit of a discussion as to the functional obsolescence in the property. You know, it's not a purpose-built warehouse, not a purpose-built distribution facility. It's a series of 5 buildings constructed over various phases. You know, the property just lacks, you know, design coherence. You know, the layout just varies from one section to the other. You know, from an investment perspective, you know, there's a good reason why this property sold for less than the assessment. You know, it's a unique asset. You know, my client sees value in it. But the reality of this property is that, you know, it wasn't a purpose-built facility. It's a mishmash of several different buildings. So going on further to the risk profile, this property, you know, prior to being purchased, the lease was expiring as of August 31st, 2023. So now, so really, what does this mean? And any investor who's going to be looking to purchase this property, you know, there's a fair bit of uncertainty here. You don't know if this tenant's going to renew. You don't know if they're going to move. You know, if this tenant were to leave, the vacancy, you know, it might take several years to find a new tenant. So again, the risk profile for this asset type, it's completely different from a lot of other industrial assets. You know, so again, those expiring leases, that again factors into the cap rate and you know, investor sentiment. You know, there's a risk. You're going to buy this property. As of April 1st, 2023, the leases are all expiring. So there's a higher risk profile because of that. You know, I'm not going to hang my hat on next page, sorry, 12.5, the cap rate table. You know, I'm not going to hang my hat on any of the properties in this table. This cap rate study was completed by a third party. The city's rebutted it. Sure, Mr. Frolic will speak to that. But it does give you an idea as to, you know, what industrial properties are actually selling for, what kind of a cap rate. But again, not hanging my hat on it, on any of those sales in particular. So to conclude, you know, this is a unique asset. I have inspected it. I've included photos following, again, sorry for the pages not staying consistent, but following the conclusion, heading number 13, I have provided photos from the site inspection, so I'll just speak to those photos a little bit as well. So I guess now we're on number 14, supporting documentation. So, you know, have a look at the property. You know, it's part warehouse, part office. It's not cohesive. The layout isn't cohesive. It's an electronics manufacturing facility. It's It's a unique asset. That I'd welcome any questions.
Hey, Mr. Froelich?
Okay, I do have rebuttal evidence, which is a key component that will sort of carry through with regards to our entire listing of properties today. Can I go through that first?
Have we got that?
I do have that. I know I sent it to the applicant this morning and to Crystal, sorry, this morning. So I'm just wondering if you guys have access to it or not.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I put that in the folder already. Just a moment, please.
Nothing there for me.
Mr. Froelich, what was that titled? Was it titled Clarence Avenue?
It would have been just, give me 1 sec. Let me pull it up here. I sent it this morning there was 2 points. Just give me 1 sec here. Rebuttal evidence, and the file was called, that's with Carson. And let me just go sent items. 953, okay. Okay. Oh, so it was called MNP cap rate. Rebuttal for November 17th, 2022.
Yes, it's in your folders.
Oh, no, it's just under rebuttal now.
Yeah, rebuttal A and T.
Yeah.
Yeah, hang on. Okay. Okay, it's just opening up. You know what? I don't have, oh, here, okay, it's here. Okay, thank you. I've got it. Okay, Mr. Froelich, when you're ready, I think if everybody has it now.
Thank you very much. Okay. So what I'm looking at right now at page 1, cap rate rebuttal. And I just want to pull up, with regards to cap rate studies that we do, I just want to pull up the applicant's evidence that he had presented us here. So cap rates are very subjective. And so when we're looking at cap rates here right now, a lot of times when we develop our cap rate study for a reassessment period, we're looking at actuals. It's really hard to get clean data, and and we hate to make assumptions, you know what I mean? So in our situations, when I see cap rate imputed, that's not telling me it's actuals. And because the process is so subjective, you know, a cap rate that's presented at a board of revision appeal will be different than the cap rate that's presented at a land value presentation at the municipal board. So for 1335 boroughs, there was an income in place in here right now. So I'm just showing you the details. So if you look at the reported net income that they end up reporting to us, right? We have the reported net income is of, just give me 1 sec here. Boroughs. And it's the NOI. So we have a reported net income of 95,448. We've added the leasing commissions of 277, 40,000 in the bank charges that equal up 43,127. So we have a total NOI cap rate of 138,575 due to our calculations, right? So with that being said, if you look at the net income on the far side where it says actual date, they reported 95,448. We've added leasing commissions, mortgage payment, bank charges. So we have a net operating income of 138,575, which is different than the higher net income that has been created by the tax agent here. With a $3 million sale price, our cap rate is 4.62%. In our analysis, you know, we've talked about the low cap rates that we've had for older buildings here, but for 1635 boroughs, you know, the cap rate that we have derived is 4.62%, which is vastly different than the 6.48% that's been listed by the tax agent. 205 Hutchings. So there was a sale for 205 Hutchings that had taken place, and we fully acknowledge that. Here's the income expense mailer on page 2 and 3. And what we've done here is the sale took place in January 2022. And so what ended up happening is we have the mailer from 2020. We did not get a mailer for 2021. So when we're looking at the reported revenue with regards to the Hutchings property, what ends up happening, they've reported for 2020 an excess revenue of 65,276, where they took out the rent, and notice how we have highlighted the interest and the amortization. We've added that to the net income, and our total NOI for the property now becomes 149,665, which is also lower than the.
Where are you right now? What page are you on?
I'm on page 5 of my rebuttal brief.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'll just quickly go over that again. So essentially in 2020, they've reported a net operating income of 65,276. We've added the mortgage payment and the bank charges on the bottom of page 5 to come up with a net operating income of 149,665. Against a sale price of 2,993,000, we come up with a 5% cap rate for this property. So what we've noticed here is when tax agents develop cap rates, they're boosting up the net income, and they'll use higher rents, especially in this situation where they're imputing the rent and not using the actuals reported on the statement. And then what ends up happening with the higher net income, that's going to derive a higher cap rate. So in this situation here, we got a 5% cap rate. For the property on 680 Mission, we clearly state, this is also an example here, there was an income in place in here. But the point is, it was a transaction between related parties, and we're assuming that there's knowledgeable buyers and knowledgeable sellers on both sides. The derived cap rate may not reflect the arm's length market length transaction, and consistently may warrant minimal reliance in the valuation. So looking at the sale here, it sold for $8.5 million. It was between the related parties, and we wouldn't have used this cap rate in our analysis. The assessment department would not use this because it's between related parties. But the point is, the tax agent has decided to use this as evidence. So this is why I'm addressing it today. Bear in mind, we wouldn't have used this. And so what ends up happening is that we have the sale here showing we're showing the sale of the $8.5 million. And it's like, we don't have an income in place in this property, but it's just, we want to show, we're wondering the analysis with regards to, the higher cap rate being used. 1500 Wall Street, another example. So imputed sales, we wouldn't have used this as a cap rate study, but it is hard to find cap rates. Look, I apologize.
Yeah, what page you in?
Sorry about that. And so on 1500 Wall, and the mailer that they've provided us here, they've provided us an income of 59,377. They have no leasing commissions, mortgage, or bank payments. So if we take that $59,000 against the property of $950,000, we have a cap rate of 6.5%. So in this situation, the property on 1500 Wall is not an investment grade property. You know what I mean? And I would have to double check, but I'm assuming it's an older property, and it's probably inferior to the subject property that we're looking here at 1301 Clarence and other ones. And this one here, we have a 6.25% cap rate. Also bear in mind the agent used his own parameters with regards to it. The assessment department wouldn't have done that. Finally, we're looking at probably at the newest building here on the place. So when we were looking at our cap rates that were in the 5% range. So the property here on 1 Warman is the old Maple Leaf plant, and they have completed income expense mailers, but the property was vacated at the time. But what ends up happening here on page 9, we're showing the actual sale price. So the sale price that we've used is $12.2 million, which can be seen on page 10 under consideration. Right?
Yep.
This is the land transfer. Is everyone there on page 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So on page 10 of my brief, I'm showing a sale of $12,200,000. Nowhere in my documentation was I able to find a sale. And the funny thing is that the date where this was registered is May 2022, and the agent has used May 2022 as a sale price. So if the provincial government has registered this property with a $12.2 million sale, I question the $9,546,000 that they use. Right. And so 11, so we're just showing the documentation on the middle part. Fair market value for this property was $12.2 million, not $9.5 million on page 13 and page 14. So what ends up happening here? So if we just base it on the applicant's evidence, right? So if we report their income of $638,000, 147, we take it against the sale price of $12.2 million, we got a cap rate of 5.23%. So we got a cap rate of 5.23% for this property, which is, and in fairness to the agent, he does have a lower-ish cap rate at 6.27, but based on the numbers and the income, so the income is that what they've imputed into it, their income's $599. To me, the income is a bit low based on the property rent that they're using, but I'm just basing it on what the applicant has presented here. So what we're dealing here with is, so we got 638,000 over a $12.2 million sale. That's a 5.23% cap rate on a newer building built in the 21st century. Once again, bear in mind, we wouldn't have done it. The city of Winnipeg would not have done a cap rate analysis on this. We wouldn't have presented that in our evaluation. So when we look at the summary of the cap rates used by the tax agent and the city, the borough's property, they're using we have a 4.62% cap rate. They're using a 6.48% cap rate. Hutchings, we have a 5% based on actuals. They've reported 6.79%. Mission is a sales transaction between related parties. We wouldn't have done that. The 1500 Wall property, we have a 6.25% cap rate, not 8.64%. And the One Warman property, we have 5.23%, and they've reported a 5.27%. And that's making some assumptions. The assessment department doesn't make any assumptions with regards to cap rates. That's my rebuttal information with regards to cap rates on this one. My rebuttal information for rents will be discussed later on in the process. Thank you. I'm open to questions.
Okay, Mr. Horsborough.
My computer decided it needed to update itself when I tried to open the document, so I wasn't able to review it. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Scholes, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy, do you have any questions?
These are questions on the city's rebuttal to
Correct.
the cap rate.
Correct.
Okay. I do not have any questions.
And I don't either. Okay, so I think we were starting though. You had some questions for Mr. Froelich. You have some questions for Mr. Horsborough. You want to go through your cap rate rebuttal first?
So I'm asking questions with regards to my. So am I asking questions to? Okay,
Well,
I don't think so, because I've asked him. He has no questions for me on my cap rate, and so I just want to make sure I got the procedure here. I presented information, right? I've answered questions about the property.
Okay.
The agent has answered my questions. So the question is, do I have any questions for Mr. Horsborough with regards to this property?
Okay.
Okay,
it was your turn to be questioned. I'm sorry.
I just had to understand in my process here.
Okay, I was out of order. I think you got me.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you're fair, Mr. Diamond. It's just so properties that are older than 19 that was built for the subject property that was built, and I'm just trying to find my brief here. Thank you. Sorry. That were built like in the 1960s and 70s. Would you also classify them as industrial C buildings?
They could possibly be C or D.
Okay. And so when you look at those, was there and so you're stating that you put no valuation with regards to this property based on the recent sale price?
No, certainly I factored in the recent sale price, but no, I'm not relying on it as evidence.
Okay. And you're saying that you know what? Okay, so with regards to your rent that you're using here on page, well, you call it page 2, but it's just before the cap rate. How come you didn't use the actual rents in place from the property owner and used our rents instead?
Pardon me?
So 12.5 is your cap rate table.
Yep.
On the previous page, you showed us the lease in place that was signed December 31st, 2020. What's the rental rate on a square foot basis for this property?
I'd have to take out my calculator.
Okay, it works out. I figured out it to be $9.59, which is significantly higher than the $8.12 that we've used. And so, based on what my information is correct, why is there an inconsistency where you're not using actuals for this property, but you're using actuals for the 2 properties on Irene?
I'm not sure, that might have been an oversight on my part.
Okay, no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz, any questions of Mr. Horsborough?
Just one. So the city's NOI you had accepted previously and the rent of $8 and what was it, $8.51, but the city adjusted that because of the difference going to the value of 3,652. So his rent went to 812 and his NOI's changed as well. And are you accepting the old, or are you going to make changes based on the NOI that is the new NOI?
I've accepted the assessor's, sorry, just bear with me for 1 second. I've accepted the assessor's NOI.
But he changed it. He changed it.
Oh, he changed it.
Yeah.
Well, I was accepting it when it was 246,920.
Okay, but okay, so you're not accepting the revised one that he has,
No.
or are you going to prepare to make changes?
No, I'm
Because he went to 3,652 from the 3,8. I have to go back to it. That was the oversight that he had.
sorry. So what was the revised?
Well, see, he had the 3,828,217, and he changed it to 3,652. You were accepting his rent at 851. That's been revised to $8.12. So his NOI, I believe, went to 235,575 based on the $8.12, which gave him an estimated value of 3,652. But you're still using the 3,828,217 as per the estimated value based on the $8.12 rent.
Right. Okay. No, I see. Yeah, there is some confusion there.
So are you changing yours based on, or are you accepting, because you're not accepting the city's revised amounts based on what you have right now?
No, yeah, I'm sticking with my numbers.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mareski?
So how did you come up with 7.5% on the cap rate?
So it really came down to, again, art and science. This is a property where the risk profile has to be reflected in the cap rate. It's a mishmash of a few different buildings together. Electronics manufacturing, the demand right now, and historically the demand over the last number of years has been for warehousing, and not for manufacturing space. Manufacturing, has taken a good hit and continues to suffer. So again, for a building, purpose built more in a sense for manufacturing, it's not going to be able to achieve the lower cap rate that a warehousing building or a modern warehousing building would be able to achieve.
Okay, no further questions.
And I have no questions. Thank you. So we can go on then with our next property.
I do have a quick summary if you don't mind.
Oh, please. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. And so my summary works out like this. So when we were looking at the property on Innswood, a lot of times tax agents would present the information here with regards to this building can't be used this because it was manufacturing. And so for a lot of years, an argument was made with regards to the Palliser furniture properties on Furniture Park near Burnett in the northeast part of Winnipeg. They said, oh, it can't be used. It needs a higher cap rate because it's so big, it's manufacturing and everything like that. And so looking forward right now, Palliser Furniture has no longer manufacturing furniture anymore, but they have some significant tenants that have ceiling heights. I think their ceiling heights are about 24 feet, so it's better than mine. But the point is, that building has been repositioned and it is actually a storage warehouse right now. It's not an ideal, perfect situation here right now, but in terms of apples to this property and the properties at Furniture Park. But the point is, these buildings have utility and they do have value. And so what they're used for right now, stating they can be different moving forward. And when we look at the quality of the pictures, both with regards to what was in the sales listing and the property pictures that we have here, sure, this building was built in the 1980s, but to call it a C is a stretch because when I'm looking at the building here, I believe the quality of the building is it may be C plus or B minus, but it's a quality building here. It has value. It's been upkeeped, and so overall, I have a lot of issues with the 7.5% cap rate that the applicant's using for this property. And in his cap rate evidence, which was rebutted by us and presented by us, the subjective factors are a bit different than what the actual numbers per se. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any response, Mr. Horsborough?
Sure, just a brief summation. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Fundamentally, the issue with assessments and the assumptions that assessors make, the assessors aren't in the market. I am in the market. I talk to business owners, I talk to tenants, I talk to real estate agents, landlords all the time. And I would say, in terms of my career, I started with the city assessment department. My perspective has changed as a result of being in the market. Investors look at this property. They don't see the value. They don't see the future potential for returns. Mr. Frolick speaks to the Palliser Furniture Center being repurposed. Yeah, sure, this property could be repurposed, but what kind of investor wants to take that on? How much capital is that going to take to try to repurpose this property that has a layout that is essentially functionally obsolete for the majority of market participants? You have an electronics manufacturing tenant in there, and as far as I'm aware, they're the only electronics manufacturing tenant left in the city. Fundamentally, there's a different risk profile for manufacturing assets than there are for warehousing assets, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that completes this matter then. Is the next matter 101, Irene?
Yes, it is, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We can proceed with that one then.
Just give me a sec to get organized.
Yeah. Okay, when you're ready, Mr. Frolick.
Yep, thank you. It's just I need to remove old briefs. 101, Irene, correct? Okay. Make sure here. Let me pull up the applicant's brief as well. Yeah. This property won't be as long, or the presentation won't be as long. File number 25-466, roll number 030703599000. Value that we have for this property is $3,084,000. Subject property is one building built in 1975, wall height 17 feet. Land area is 100,957. Leasable area is 27,072. The land to building ratio of 3.73%. The model value was $3,325,000. new owners for this property, similar sales. I'm going to reference the pictures of 101 Irene. So 101 Irene, so on the top right-hand side on page 4, we got a good picture. For all the properties, the curb appeal for this property is, they've been well-maintained buildings. So even though they're a bit older dated, they have been well-maintained. I look at the 17-foot ceiling space here on 101 Irene. This is a clean dated property. You can tell by the floors, it's a bit dated on the building here, but it's well organized. You see how the property looks. So that's the only picture I have on the top of page 5. Site plan similar. We've talked about location in the industrial area. Some of the parameters with regards to 101 Irene is just 2 dock doors, 1 grade door. 101 Irene is fully sprinkled. I'm assuming the other ones would be as well, but not stated in the sales mailer. I haven't inspected this property. Workup value that we have for this property is then, and let me just pull it up here on my cover sheet. And I'll end up pulling it up a bit later. So the rent that we had initially was $9.01, using a 4.5% cap rate, 3% expenses. Net operating income we had was $221. Cap rate we used was 6.65%. And what we ended up using is a rental rate of $8.37 to come up with a value of $3,083,000. And the reason why I was under a tight deadline with regards to getting these briefs done. And so I do apologize for not providing you the net income for the new revised value. If you just give me 1 sec here, I will provide that for you. 101 Irene, because I'm sure you'll ask. The adjusted net operating income using the rental rate of 837.1 was 205,056 with the 6.65% cap rate, comes up with a value of 3,084,000. Comparable properties, they're identical to what they were because they're all similar sizes. So all the information from our rate comparables are similar. And our cap rate study with regard to this property. So we look at each individual property as being industrial breed B. Our cap rate is 6.65% for this property. And our cap rates are ranges from 5.35 to 7.3, 6 to 7, 6.5 to 7.5, and 6 to 6.75. So with regards to the industry, looking at the building here, our 6.65% cap rate seems to be very reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Horsborough.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me, just a question or two. Mr. Frolick, I'm guessing the answer will be the same as for 1301 Clarence. Have you inspected the property yourself?
Yes, no, I have not.
No, okay. And in recent years, has an inspection been completed by the city?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But I think the pictures in the sales listing show the quality of the building.
Okay. Just regarding your rental comparables, aside from 89 Bunting, did you look at any properties, I guess, with a similar clear wall height?
You know what? It's hard to find, right? You know what I mean? Because it's like 100 Irene, when we look at the 100 Irene here, so we're dealing with a 46,000 square foot property or 47,000 square foot, built in 1977, so almost identical to the subject property, and they're obtaining a rent of $10.14, and we're using a rental rate of $8.37. So you can do an adjustment and to say that our rent that we're using right now is within the line, right? So what ends up happening, say if we use the higher, say if you used a rental rate that was a bit higher than what we've used here right now, that would translate into a higher cap rate.
Okay, thanks very much. No further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Scholes, any questions?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mareski, do you have any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay, and I guess my only question is, I see the cap rate here is 6.65. Comparison with 6.45. This appears to be a cleaner property. Is there any explanation of why the model would have given this a higher cap rate than it gave clearance?
Well, the reason why it gave it a higher cap rate, because two reasons. Older building. This was built in 1975. The Clarence property is a newer building. So older buildings have higher cap rates. And slightly, not significantly, but overall the wall height's a bit lower than it would be with regards to that. With a lower ceiling height, that would translate to a higher cap rate as well.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Horsborough, you can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So again, 101 Irene. If the board will follow me to page 4. Similar to the other property, it's occupied by this electronics manufacturing facility. The space works for them. Not certain that the space would work for a lot of other potential tenants. The property, moving on to page 5, executive summary. This property does suffer from some functional obsolescence in terms of if it were to be used as a warehouse. The 17-foot clear wall height it does not work for modern warehousing. But yeah, fundamentally, this is a Class C asset. And really, that's the main issue. So if we move forward now. I'll move forward to page 10 here. So really there are really just two main issues regarding this assessment. One being the potential income, the second being the capitalization rate. Page 14 provided satellite images of the property. It is connected to 77 Irene via walkway. And I think that's most clear in the second photo on page 14. More photos provided on page 15. And then page 16, as per the lease in place, subject property wasn't capable of achieving potential income of $243,919. The monthly rent amounts to a total annual income of $180,753. This excerpt on page 16 comes directly from the assessment and taxation income expense questionnaire that was submitted. Moving ahead to page 17, I feel that I've spoken a lot about cap rates today, but this is a manufacturing facility. It's not going to trade on the market in a way that warehouses do. There's a higher risk profile for any sort of a landlord who is trying to attract a manufacturing tenant. As we mentioned earlier, we look at Sure Palace or furniture, manufacturing is not doing well. Moving on to page 18, just speaking to the risk profile and why this property is considered to be a Class C asset. And then again, discussion on the next page regarding the expiring lease. The potential buyer as of April 1st, 2023. Again, they're going to have to contend with the risk that this tenant won't renew and this property will be vacant. Hence the need for a higher cap rate to reflect that added risk. Cap rate table on the next page. Again, not hanging my hat on any of those, but it certainly does give an idea as to what properties trade for at the market. So again, I would conclude saying that this property, it's not capable of achieving the potential income as per the lease that is in place. And then the risk profile for this asset type does warrant a higher cap rate than what the city has assessed it with. And then on the subsequent page, section 14, supporting documentation, I have provided, I did provide a few photos of the property after having inspected it. And with that, I'd welcome any questions. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Mr. Fullock, any questions?
Yeah, so just, I don't remember your answer, so I apologize for re-asking this question. So why did you use the actuals on this, for this property, but you didn't use it for 1301 Clarence Avenue?
It was, must have been an oversight.
Okay, no problem. I just want to double check.
Doing the best I can.
Is there a current lease in place for this property right now?
Yeah, I believe that Parker Hannafin renewed.
Okay, and you know what the current lease is at?
I haven't been provided that yet.
Yeah, you haven't been? Are you sure that that's how you want to answer that question?
I don't think I've been provided with the current lease.
Okay, well,
Did
did you complete the 2024 income and expense mailer for this property?
Did I personally?
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I would have. Now that I think of it, Durham, yes, yeah, because Durham bought this property. Yeah,
Okay.
I honestly, I don't quite remember.
Okay, okay, so if you don't remember, that's one thing. I just wanted me to make sure, because we do have access to what the lease is in place for 2024. So your client has done that. And you're putting no evidence with regards to your comparable rents. All you're doing is you're just using the actual in place that was signed almost 3 years before the reference date, correct?
Correct.
Okay, no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Scholes, any questions?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Moreski, any questions?
It's on your page 19, that actual rent information. I have a hard time reading that. Lease start is 2018, is that correct?
Yes, September 1st, 2018.
And then to 2023, is that correct?
And expires expiring June 31st, or sorry, July 31st, 2023.
So that's 5-year lease.
5-year lease. Yes.
Going past the reference date.
Correct.
And is this a long-time tenant?
My understanding is that they are a long-time tenant.
Is it possible that they're getting a better rate based on that aspect?
Sure, it's certainly possible.
So you're conceding that it might on the market get more rent?
I wouldn't say I'm going to concede that. If it were to go vacant and be on the open market, the landlord would either probably have to offer a lot in terms of tenant improvements, or consider making some serious structural changes to the property to make it more functional and make it more marketable to a wider range of tenants.
Okay, fair enough. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay. And you know, Mr. Horsborough, that for the same valuation, there was 50-1 in 2020 for the 2025 assessment that valued the property at $3,325,000.
Yes, so the tenant had filed the appeal for last year. The landlord wasn't happy with the deal that Deschamps Macmillan struck. hence why we were brought on.
Well, and you purchased or bought the property since then? Isn't that the case?
That's correct. Yeah, they
Yeah, so-
purchased the property in December 2023.
In 2023, December, so they knew at that point about the prospects of a new lease then.
Sorry?
They knew about the prospects then, when they bought it, of the lease being renewed.
Yes.
Yes. I just question, I know it's aftermarket, but I'm just question, because it does reflect what might have been known before. How long was the lease renewed for?
I would have to double check. I mean, I do know that, yeah, no, I mean, Merrick or Mr. Frolic kind of prompted me. I remember, yeah, no, you're right. I did help them out with their income and expense mailers. But off the top of my head, I'm not sure what the renewal was for, if it was another 5-year or what.
Yeah, you're correct, Carson. It's another 5-year lease.
It was another 5-year renewal? Okay.
Okay. So to 2028 then. Okay. And is the tenant's responsible for the rent, right? For
That's
the taxes, I mean.
I
It's net lease, right?
yes, the tenant filed the appeal for 2025
Yeah, and you filed for 26 on behalf of the
on
landowner,
behalf of the owner. Yeah,
who isn't responsible for the taxes.
correct.
Okay. Yeah, I think that completes my questions. Thank you. Okay, so that takes us to the last matter on the agenda, which is the other property in Irene.
That is correct.
77 Irene Street.
Yes. Okay. And when you're ready, Mr. Froelich?
Yep, for sure. This one will be even faster than the last one. Let me just pull it up here. 77 Irene. File number 25-467. And I just want to see your faces here as I'm reading it. Roll number 03070360 77 Irene, value that we have for 2026 was $5,651,000. Property is a warehouse, 4 buildings, 2 premises, built between 1974 and 2014. Wall heights are between 12 and 18 feet. Land area is 188,754. Plan area is 49,600 and has a land to building ratio of 3.81%. The original 2025 model value is $5,892,000. So 77 Irene is the northernmost portion of the building. On 77 Irene, sorry. 77 Irene is looking at the picture here. Just bear with me here, folks. Irene. So what we have here is we have the pictures aren't great, show on the bottom of page 4, so I do apologize for that. But the picture for 77 Irene on page 5 is very clear. Yeah, it's an older building, but the point is it's very bright, it's well lit, and it seems to be decent space. It's not industrial style, but there is quality here. You can also see pictures of the loading area on 77 Irene. '77 Irene, in terms of the valuation process, this property has 4 loading docks, 1 interior load and 2 grade doors. Now looking at the valuation for this property. So what we have here, and I'm just going to bring it up because I do have it here. So initially what happened was that the rental rate for this property was $8.68. And I do believe we changed it to $8. And it was, pardon me, this is 77 Irene. We had a rental rate of $9 and $9.04. And we changed the rental rate to $8.68 using a 4.5% cap rate. 4.5% vacancy, 3% other, $4 for shortfall. our net operating income for this property is $389,892, utilizing a 6.9% cap rate. Our value is $5,651,000. My comparables are the same, and our cap rate's a bit higher at this one at 6.9%. That concludes my formal presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Horsborough.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one or two questions for Mr. Frolick. I asked it before, and I'm sure I don't really need to ask. You haven't inspected the property, correct?
Asked and answered
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
and stated.
I guess my one question is that I guess the city or the city's model recognizes that it seems that each of these three properties has a higher and higher cap rate. I guess can you shed some light on the 6.9% cap rate and
Yeah, for sure. Of course I can. So as opposed to some of the other properties, there's 4 different buildings here. The majority of this building was built in 1974, 30,000 square feet of it was. So that would derive a higher cap rate from the previous 2 properties.
Okay, thanks very much. No further questions.
Okay. Mr. Mareski, any questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz, any questions?
Just one question to clarify on page 10. You've got the 868, but you said that, so those figures are all different because your NOI on page 10 is 406,582.
Yeah, that's why I gave you the revised numbers.
Okay, so it's the 389,892.
Yes, so that was the original numbers that we had here. So what happens here is that, let me just pull it up here. I got too many screens up. 77 Irene. Yeah, so when I look at the differences between, because initially our cap rate was our net operating income was 406,524, which is why I shared the revised cap with the revised net operating income of 389,982. And that's a direct reflection of dropping our rent from 904 to 868.
And that gives you 5,651.
That is correct.
Okay.
That's 6.9% cap rate.
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay, so I knew the arithmetic, so I assume that was
okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, just for clarification, so I just want to make sure I got this clear then. So if you take your new NOI of 389,982,
yep,
and you cap it at 6.9%, you're going to get the value you're defending now, 5,651,000.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, and this was pursuant to a gain of 15.1 and for 2025.
That is correct.
Actual.
I think it should be 389,892. I think you were
892, 389,892. Yep.
892. Sorry.
Yeah,
thank you
not
for
982. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay.
So how did you arrive at that original NOI of 406,582 if you'd got the 868 in there? Why is that?
That would have just been pre-programmed initially. You know what I mean? So what ended up happening here is that it pulls from the program. So I had adjusted the rent with an override, right? And then it's still printed out, because it was modified, right? So the rent was modified, but so we send out a certified assessment for 2026. So when we pull up the 2026, so that's where the value had changed. So when we did the certified for 2025, it was initially 5,892,000. We sent out the revised valuation for 2025, which would have been 5,651,000. But our internal organization doesn't change our model process. So what ends up happening, a complaint from agents is that, why did the value go up so much? Because the board decision was such and such. And our process is, well, we don't agree with the board decision that took place. We thought our value was reasonable in our approach, so we weren't going to change any of the parameters for that. And so that's why On the most part, we did make a reduction in rent that we're comfortable with, but we're not comfortable with regards to the rent reduction or the value reduction that the agent's seeking for this property today.
Okay, just one more thing there on page 10. So it says the 49,600 at 868 is 435.28. And then it has potential rent below. That should have been 435.28. Is that correct?
435.
All of a sudden it's 448, 546 there, and there's no backup for that. So that should have been carried down, right? That previous number above.
Once again, this is generated from the original 2025 assessment. That's why I gave you the revised numbers.
But you're giving the revised numbers of 389, 892 for NOI, but all of those figures above need to be adjusted as well.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. And
Nothing's,
so,
nothing's, it didn't go down.
so like I had stated before, the original was 49,000. Do you want to write this all down? Because I'll go slow enough. So the 2026 valuation is as follows: 49,600. Use the rental rate of $8.68 to come up with a GPI of 435.28. 435.28. Utilizing a 4.5% vacancy, which was 19,374. It came up with effective gross income of 411,154. Factoring 3% for other recoveries, that's 12,335. Am I going too fast? I feel I'm going too fast. Now, with the shortfall of $4 of 8,928, combined with the 12,335, the net operating income is 389,892, which is how we came up with the 5,651,000. Sorry if I went too fast before. I apologize.
Hey, are there any more questions?
No further questions for me.
No.
Okay, and I'm good too. I think anything that I would have asked has been answered. So well, that's Mr. Horsborough, you can proceed with your evidence then.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me, as we were discussing, the subject property is 77 Irene. Moving on to page 4. This property, actually, we were the closest in terms of MNP's valuation and the city's valuation. We've determined a market value of $5,007,000. Moving on to page 5, the subject property. Really, there are a few issues regarding this application for revision. The potential income exceeds what the property is capable of generating under its current lease. The assessor has applied a cap rate of 6.9%, suggesting that this is a Class C asset and it will carry a higher risk profile. However, we have valued it with a 7.5% cap rate in keeping with our valuation of all 3 properties and the risk profile for manufacturing assets in Winnipeg. If the board will follow me through to page 13, I've just provided the income workup that we've prepared. The potential income close to what the city has assessed. We're just about a difference of $30,000, and that the cap rate at 7.5% versus 6.9%. Moving on to page 14, I have provided satellite images of the property as well as exterior photographs. I did inspect the property this past summer. As per the lease in place, total rent, annual rent amounts to $418,328, as opposed to the what I assume is the model derived rent of $448,000. Moving on to page 17, and the capitalization rate. Spoken to a lot of this already, but the investor sentiment for manufacturing facilities, it's quite different than investor sentiment for warehousing facilities. Warehousing is where the market's going, not manufacturing. The market is a lot more bearish on manufacturing. So if an investor is going to take on that kind of a risk, they're going to need a reward, hence the higher cap rate. Page 18, I provided this before, just the difference between Class B industrial and Class C industrial. Page 19, again, just speaking to the functional obsolescence. The property is, again, a bit of a mishmash. It's configuration, again, of the property is for electronics manufacturing. It's a unique asset, that's for sure. And then again, on the next page, I do speak to the added risk of the expiring leases, the cap rate table, and then just my conclusion on the final page. I've also included the addenda under section 14, supporting documentation, just some photographs of the property from when I was out to inspect it. So that's all I got. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Mr. Froelich, any questions?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Ms. Scholes, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
And Mr. Moresi, do you have any questions?
Just on your page 13 there, I think you got an arithmetic error there. You got effective gross income 399,504. And if you subtract those two numbers after that, it's slightly different. It's up to 378 something. 378,591. I am not 375,534. Which is going to affect your other numbers after that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. I apologize for that. That's I do it on Excel, so yeah, I apologize for that. Not sure why we wound up at 375. No, I just ran the numbers and it should be 378,591. So yeah, I would have to revise that. That would be a calculation error. I take full responsibility for it. I apologize.
Okay. That number is 5,047,881. If you're wondering your final number, you carry it forward.
Yeah. So the revised would be 5 million. I guess rounded to 5,048,000.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Any other questions, Mr. Moresi?
No, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, and I have no other questions that haven't been answered. So we've now heard all matters on our docket today. So we are going to close this hearing. We will meet to determine our decisions, which you will receive in short order. And we thank you for your attendances and your evidence.
Thank you. Sorry that I had to stand up afterwards. I've been sitting too long this morning, so I needed to stretch. So I do apologize for standing up for the last part of the hearing.
Okay, well.
Nice jacket.
Yeah. And that's fine. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody, and have a great weekend.
Thanks very
Thanks
much.
a lot, guys.
Hey,
Thank you, Mr. Froelich.
Thank you.